Was there anybody on the visitor citizen forum? Okay, on the visitor citizen forum, of course, these are for our items that are not actually on the agenda. First one, we have Nikki Schultz. Go ahead and come on up and introduce yourself. I'll give you a few minutes.
Hi, I'm Nikki Schultz, and I promise not to take long. I just wanted to thank the City Council for coming together and approving and putting together the citywide garage sale. I want to tell you, it was a blessing, first not to have to pay the fee, because I was selling stuff to make money to pay my property taxes, so every bit counts, that was nice. And the second thing was, I want to tell you, it was the most fun garage sale I have done in so long. We had lots of friends coming around, people were making a day out of it. They were like a treasure hunt. We had people come from Hondo, Castroville, Lacoste, Pleasanton. They were just coming because they heard we had the citywide garage sale. And several people asked about a list, which I said, well, we didn't, because some of the other towns make a map, which would be nice, but they still made it a treasure hunt. And they said, we're just following the signs. We're driving and we see the signs and we're stopping. So I just wanted to thank y'all for coming together and doing that. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Jay, you signed up on here as well.
No, this is part of the agenda. But
Wrong one, okay. Kathy,
I'm just waiting.
okay, for the agenda, item, perfectly fine. All right. I don't know if we have any public recognition, but I do know we have some employee recognition. Do y'all, David?
Yes.
And Debbie.
Ms. Mantle, will you please join?
Oh, okay. He's getting up. The old body. You want to go over here?
Right, fine, thank you. I can breathe and read. Good evening, everybody. Mayor, council, staff, and most importantly, you guys for taking time to join us this evening. Back in October 4th, this past year, we had the National Night Out at the golf course. And we just want to say thanks to everybody. So let me read this real quick for you, especially for the PD, because they're the one that actually put all this together. He says, thank you to the Devine Police Department for hosting this year's National Night Out on Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. They did a tremendous job in putting this event at the golf course, which was a huge, huge success. Thank you also to public work employees for all the hard work they did to help make this event a big success for the police department. We also have staff members for their dedication for helping out. So on the PD, we want to recognize, of course, our Chief Benavides, Officer Chris Andrew, Officer Amado, Officer Felicia Miller, Officer Perez, Officer Clinton, Officer Ezekiel Perez, Officer Hughes, Officer Casillas, and Officer Todd. They were out there, and it takes a lot for these folks to put this event together. They do it from year round to year round. I know last year we canceled because of COVID, but as soon as this year's over, they start planning for the following year. It takes a lot for these guys to put it together. Having to get the helicopter scheduled and all this good stuff, it takes some coordinating. So a big thanks to the PD. Public work employees, of course, our director, Mr. Flores, Pete Sanchez, Simon Davila, Agrea, Ivan Agrea?
Yeah.
Mr. Pena, Mike Gallegos, Joe Martinez, Joe Casillas, and Ray Ramirez. They were there helping the PD, making sure that everything was going to accordingly, and if anything went, they were there to assist in every which way. Not just PD, but they were just there on the grounds assisting. And of course, we have our city staff. We had Ms. Rodriguez there. She is quite a cook or a waitress. She was putting them out there. And of course, we had Ms. Flores helping her. So throughout the whole evening, they did a fantastic job. So I just want to recognize all these folks for a great job that they did. Thank you all so much.
And I want to thank our Devine Volunteer Fire Department, Rescue Department, EMS, the entire city of Devine, because we had a ton of people
Yes, we
show
did.
up. Public Works, of course, the Devine Golf Course for hosting it, Medina County Sheriff Department, Mayor Thompson, Councilman Espinosa, of course, Dora, for those of us that were there to be here for the city. So I wanted to thank everybody. I thought it was a great success. It was great to see how many city people came. It was packed. So I think it's great.
It was a great event. We look forward to next year, make it even better. It was good.
Yes.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Item 6, consider approval of council minutes. This is the regular council meeting minutes for August 16th, 2022, the special council meeting minutes for August 30th, 22, and the special meeting and budget workshop for September 8th. Is there any?
I didn't see any issues with them. Anybody else?
No, I think everything was good.
I'll make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for, what was it, August 16th, August 30th, and September 8th.
All right, we have a motion. Second. We have a second. All in favor?
No.
Any against? Motion passes. All right. I'm going to try and move some stuff around tonight to try to get everybody through, but unfortunately, we have lots of agenda items and basically we have people for most of them. However, I'm going to go ahead and move items 7 and 8 to later into the meeting. So we're going to go ahead and go straight to item 9, which is consider an act upon contract for Republic Services. Copies there. Do y'all want to lead off, or do y'all want to let Republic lead off?
Let's have the gentleman.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, for doing that, and thank you for seeing us again. Just very briefly, since acquiring ACI and the Devine contract, our focus has really been to honor the current agreement and ensure no gaps in service. We appreciate the opportunity to come before you again to refine a new agreement and improve on some of the language that's in there. Just to briefly cover some of the things on the document I sent relating to residential service. We're keeping all the stuff we talked about for 4 times a year, curbside brush, the 2 times a year bulk, reducing the extra cart rate from $11 to $5.55, keeping churches and nonprofits at a residential rate. And then the other pain point, that was the 4-year automatic rolling contract language. This would be a new 5-year agreement that can be renewed for 3 successive 2-year options, no automatic renewal. And those numbers can be changed as needed. Some stuff from our last meeting was the static delivery timeline for roll-off requests, generating graphics, just more education on recycling, bulk pickup, and that kind of thing. So we have that in there. And then the last point was the request from the mayor of having some kind of clause in there related to a termination. And I have 2 points in there. Basically that you inform us of a gap in service. We have 30 days to cure. And if not, then with 30 days notice, you could breach the contract, or without cause, you could still breach the contract. You could still end the contract with compensation of the 6 months or the remaining of the contract. So those are kind of the new items in there, and happy to hear from y'all.
Yeah, let's start. That's deadly.
Okay. So the no-fault clause is there. I saw it. However, I thought we were talking more of a complete no-fault clause, possibly with a 90, 120-day window, to give everybody notice. that's not quite what it is. And so I had Dora pull numbers for me, and it would, the 6-month deal, minimum, I took all the lowest months and then I took all the highest months just to get a high and low. 410,000 was the lowest, and the highest would be 450. Okay, this is not a no-fault clause. Okay, I'm just saying my opinion, that's not a no-fault clause, that's a penalty clause for wanting to terminate the contract. I'm still not happy about the paying, our people have to pay extra to get rid of their leaves and whatnot in a timely manner, so I'm not happy with that.
And the one thing that I added on that point in here, which was in there, and I just put it to clarify, was that on weeks of holidays, we would accept extra bank.
I did see that, but that's not the,
Sure.
that's not where we have the problem. Ours is leaf season is the problem. Leaf season here is bags and bags and bags. And unfortunately, leaf season is twice a year, so. But that's my district, okay? I can only talk for my district. Okay, I'm done.
I didn't make it farther than paragraph 3, and I saw the authorities in there to have you folks have a monopoly on roll-offs, and that was a big point of contention. I didn't need to make it any further than that. I understand there are more issues in there, but I'm a hard no at this point. I mean, that was for such a major point of contention there. I'm not sure how that snuck in there.
I'm sorry, can you clarify that? We did remove the franchise and roll-ups.
No, what I'm saying here in paragraph 3, grant of authority, there's hereby granted the city to contract the sole and exclusive right and privilege to operate and maintain.
No, I have not sent any contract language to the city.
That's
So
the
that-
old contract.
Oh, that's the old one.
That's the old contract.
Oh, okay. Boy, I'm a lot less
I only
hostile
sent
towards it.
Summary bullet points.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I saw the email and I saw the contract. I thought that was the new contract. My apologies. Okay. That was my big point of contention. I would second Debbie's concern there with the no fault.
And just a second on that, we did remove, but last time we had discussed, is it temporary or permanent?
They did
It's all-
remove it.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I retract that concern then.
Okay, what I'd like to say is that we sit up here as elected officials to support the citizens from this community. The citizens are not happy with what you're delivering. Matter of fact, I think we had a list a couple of months ago of, Dora, is that correct? We had a list?
I think that when they were here.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they were here.
So, honestly, I think the damage has been done, and it's just time to move on forward. So that's just the way I'm seeing things. I'm sorry to say that, but that's just where I'm at with this.
Jen, your concerns, Councilman, and I'd be glad to work through that. I haven't heard the same. We've heard great things from the residents. We've delivered over 80 coloring books within the last few months to the kids that come by. And I do have responses to those complaints, and I can get those to you because they weren't all accurate.
See, but what I'm
Or they were
seeing,
resolved within 24 hours.
what I'm seeing from you now, that you're giving these things out after the wrong's been committed, and, we have to look out for the citizens. They're not happy. I'm sorry. They're not content. And, I'm sure you have a chance to talk to them, but they call the office frequently, And I'm sure they call you or your staff to let them know to go back and pick up something, and, that's not the way I feel that this business should be operated. So like I said, once again, I think it's just time to move on, personally. That's all about it.
Well, council, we can either table this to think about it more. We can see if they will work on the no fault clause in there, and I guess the leaves in there as well. We can figure out which way do we want to do.
Whatever way it is, we're stuck for another 4 years. If we were, unless we get them to give us the right kind of contract. Because right now, it's 4 years from the time we tell them goodbye. Or want to say goodbye, I should say. Goodbye, I should say.
Correct. We could do a contract, like I said, with the other, where if we get upset again or whatever, or if we have issues again, we can. Obviously, $400 and some odd thousand is an unreasonable buyout option. That's 6 months, it's half a year worth of income to them for doing nothing other than just saying adios type of thing. It's really up to y'all. We could either send the letter and go ahead and instruct Tom, although that's not on here. We may have to have a different vote to have that. We may have to have a different vote to do that. Tom, if council says, would they be able to do that in this motion here tonight, or?
I think that you would be able to do that.
Okay. So y'all could motion if y'all want to move forward with just go ahead and starting the 4-year process. Or we can send them back and try to get a better contract that's benefits the people better.
Well, we put it out to bid in 4 years.
4 years, yeah. I mean, $400,000 is what?
Well, like I said, that's 6 months worth of just because.
The fuel surcharge, the roll-off franchise, the increased price for churches, for sludge, for city, all of that wouldn't exist if we continue our current agreement. That's why we're trying to get out of it. To add on 1 more year for a 5-year agreement, So I don't think that we're trying to do your residents wrong by any means, and we're working hard to come to the table and to meet you where you are. I think it's hard to put in some kind of no-fault clause when, it's already been expressed that you would get out of the agreement as soon as you could. And so it just wouldn't be in our interest to have that. It wouldn't be a contract like the councilman has said in past meetings. So I think we have to work on something.
I think this is my personal opinion, kind of goes along David's lines, and actually, I think David said this a few months ago. Even if we went with this contract, even if we all thought this was the most marvelous contract, okay, your history, it's not you personally, the company's history doesn't reflect that it's going to get any better. Like, you don't have a good track history with us. It might get better for a month or 2, and then it's just going to go back to what we were that one time with 6 pages of complaints for 1 week. So I'm done. I'm done. That's me. I can't speak for anybody else.
Question, Tom. I think you may have answered this one before. We can't allow just anyone to work in the city. We have to award the contract to a singular entity, correct? We can't allow free market to.
I don't know if anybody would bid on the contract under those circumstances.
Well, there wouldn't be a contract at that point. It would simply be residents responsible for their own trash, and we can allow free market to come in and fill that role. And then these folks could fill the role for the residents who want that, and maybe smaller operations could fill all the roles.
I think that's something that you need to discuss with the citizens before you did that. Because I think you're going to get a hodgepodge, and these companies, they operate on economy of scale.
Yep.
So I don't know how many bids you would get on that, or if you just turn it over to the citizens and say, hey, you got a contract for your own garbage collection. I'm not real sure that would work out.
Works well in other cities, but I was just curious in the legality. Okay.
I think that you could work it, whatever would be in the best interest of the citizens, and that's what you need to be looking at.
Yep.
Yeah, and right now, I haven't done any research on that question. I think you could do it, but would that be in the best interest of the citizens? That I don't.
Well, and I will say that at least seeing the city hall side of it, and Dora, correct me if I'm wrong, Republic has been very on the spot the past, say, 6 weeks. But again, that doesn't go to the point of if we agree to a contract tonight, that in 6 weeks it won't all be crap again. So, Well, do y'all want to send it back to the table and ask for the, at least the no fault to be reduced dramatically and then whatever other options, or?
Could reassess in a year.
I would just like to make the motion for us to send a letter.
We can send
of
a letter
termination
and reassess at
and
any
start
point in
the
time.
4-year countdown.
Because we can,
I'll make that motion.
because we can reassess at any point in time in those 4 years of what we want, and Republic still has a right to try to come and mend the contract and get it something that we want, but if you're okay with starting the process, then let's go ahead and start the process, which is the motion you already made.
I'll second.
Oh, okay. Motion and a second by Flipper. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. All right, thank you. All right, this is item 10, consider an act upon request made by Sago Internet. This is the address is Rossville, it's the R number R24339. This is to be allowed for the installation of a 100-foot internet communications tower. I know that technically this is legal and not a problem, but after the last time we had the tower go in over here on Teal, remember we asked them to bring this to us when these come up again, so that way we don't end up in the paper. Anyhow. Do we have somebody from, yeah. Go ahead, introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. My name is Rodney Hitzfelder. I'm from Lacoste. 2 years ago, myself, my son, and friend had bad internet, and we got tired of what we had and started our own company and started supplying family and friends with internet, and started getting more than we intended to. And then last year, the Medina County Commissioners Court gave us a grant to go through the county and put up internet towers to try to provide better internet with an economy of scale, so that we can hit some of the rural areas and many of the towns that have bad internet. So we've been doing that. Right now we have 7 towers, we have about 130 customers. We've got about half the grant left. We've been asked to target certain areas, Devine is one of them, by the county commissioners. And so one of the possible sites that we're looking at is within the city limits. I didn't want to spend any more time or effort going through the power companies, looking for backhaul or anything else before it came to city council to see if it's feasible and if there's any type of impediments for us doing that. So that's why I'm here today.
Over there next to the highway.
Yeah, but you weren't on council the last time.
You're right. Oh, no, I'm just saying I was off to the side there, so I can't imagine folks having a problem.
I know, yeah. I like I said, it's all zoned, everything's good, right, Tom, as far as everything being good on that, as far as zoning and all that. So really the only reason it's here is because we had that, we made that request that these large towers come back before us, so we're aware of them, and I don't see a reason not to. This is the stuff I know the county judge has been talking about it in some of the Go Medina meetings, that y'all are putting these up everywhere. This isn't the 5G stuff that was the concern before.
Is a motion required for this item?
Do we actually have to have a motion on this, or is this just more informational?
So I think you need to make a motion.
All right, we'll go ahead and make a motion if that's.
I'll go ahead and make a motion then, Mayor.
Does the property owner of that property consent to this?
Yeah, they
Yes.
already have this all
Okay.
set up with them.
All right.
All right, so if there's nothing else, we have a motion from David.
Second.
We have a second from Flipper. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes.
Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Item 11, consider an act upon council to approve the amended Parks and Recreation Advisory Board ordinance. Was there any questions on that ordinance? I know we gave everything we wanted to Tom, we got us back what we were asking.
I don't have my tablet today, so
I couldn't find anything.
I didn't see that I got the ordinance, so.
It was sent, was that what was sent just earlier?
Uh-huh.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was sent today.
It was sent
Oh,
today.
that's why.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I was out of town. I thought it was,
I couldn't remember reading it, and I didn't look today, so.
Do we have a hard copy of that there?
What's the bluff on this, Tom? What's the bluff on this?
the bluff.
Bottom line up front?
Oh, bottom line up front, you're just merging the two boards.
Yep.
And you-
Okay, we've done this
Okay.
last.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we didn't have the actual document. That's what we've got to approve tonight with the
Okay.
ordinance number.
Yeah.
All right.
So Josh, it's just merging the two boards, and we created a at-large position on the Parks and Rec Board. Because actually, I guess we wanted Margaret on there, because she lives outside the city.
Oh,
Dan?
that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. No, not an issue.
Yeah,
And
this
they're
is-
all
this-
good with this.
I think they are, that's what
The
I was
members of
told.
the other board are good with this.
I believe.
We have a
Three of them back
yes.
there, they say they are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought
Y'all are
they-
good back
they
there?
had-
Other all back there? All right.
But we hadn't all talked about it for a couple months, that's why I was like, they're still interested.
So,
Make a motion to accept?
Yes.
Yes.
We can accept that, an item of discussion, we're gonna have to figure out the terms of those folks. We have 2-year terms, we've got 1-year terms, so.
well, what we were supposed to have done is they were supposed to follow the terms of the individual who appointed them when we talked about it originally, because we're on off years.
Yeah.
But I don't. Is that not?
All right, so this is the way it's set up, Mayor, right now. District, for the park, District 1 is up, District 2 is up, well, actually, they're all up. But District 1, 2, and 3, they're 2-year terms.
Right.
And 1-year terms are Districts 4 and 5.
Those should have been. Those should be 2-year terms, but they should cycle with the council members.
Yes, as soon as they, we did it that way because they will move into 2-year terms.
Right.
Right. We're appointing everybody new right now.
Technically, yes, because
Yeah.
everybody's expired.
Yeah.
Do we need to make that in the motion that we need to change those terms to reflect the council members who appoint them? To coincide with the council members that
So
appoint
they're
them?
out of the at-large number would never end, because they don't have a district.
Go with the mayor.
We can do whatever we want with these boards at the end of the day.
Well, that's
We just
true.
appoint them because it gives us
honestly,
a set
board
time.
before, we all had those staggered ones, we just all kept going. So,
Yes. We approved them all at the same time, it didn't matter.
right,
Even though they were staggered and you had somebody serving who wasn't supposed to be.
nobody ever kept count.
No.
If you want to approve for 2 years, we can approve for 2 years, everybody.
Let's just do 2 years for it, make
That's
it
fine.
easy for Casey.
Make a motion to approve this ordinance with 2-year terms.
Is that good enough, Tom?
That's good enough.
All right, we have a motion? Second. We have a second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. That's gonna be, ordinance number 10-22. All right, 12, we can go ahead and administer oath of office to all the people who are there here tonight who are now on both boards. Tom, you have the. All right, back row, y'all are gonna have to come forwards. Steve, you as well. Yeah, right here. So,
Is he on the emergency board?
inches.
I think he gets somebody for the park.
Huh?
I think he gets somebody for the park.
Well, now will be, yeah.
You know what I asked?
Who to?
You,
Ask her, you never know, she would do it.
she had it up, that would be.
Now,
Maybe have to leave the district, let's see if they won't probably. Yes.
your right hand. All right. I do solemnly swear or affirm. I solemnly swear or affirm that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office Parks and Recreation Advisory Board member. City of Devine. State of Texas. And will to the best of my ability. Preserve, protect, and defend. The Constitution and laws of the United States. And of this state. So help me God. Congratulations again. That makes silver double duty. Same price. No, there's no increase in wages. You all come over here so we can sign it. Yeah, you just give it out. All right, Nick, here we go. Get your signature right there. This is your bribery oath, saying that you haven't taken anything by you or offered anything to serve.
Busy.
Next.
I was driving off slowly. Finally out. I forgot I had to come here.
And this is the bribery oath that you haven't offered anybody anything of value to get appointed to this. Next. All right, Margaret. Here we go. This Joe. Right here. And on the next page is your. That bribery. They haven't offered anybody anything of value to be appointed in this position. All right, we'll get you copies of this. Oh, you know what? I need you guys autograph it. Yeah. Don't run off Here, Steve. And this anti-bribery.
You doing good?
Yeah. I'm here. Find you. I'm here and I'm cold.
Yeah. No, because I heard you were sick, but maybe it didn't hit you that hard. That's good. Yeah.
But they're like, so you're probably gonna have a cough for a while, you'll probably have some drainage for a while, you'll probably be tired for a while, but all of a sudden, more than Tuesday of last week was the last day I had symptoms. So like I've been out a week and up until like, I could go to bed right now. But
Yeah.
it takes a little while.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna make them stand back up again. I'm gonna blame this on you. So, all right. So, well, do you want to let Sandy sit down first, or do you want to get everybody to still walking?
No, let us stand up first.
All right, so David wants everyone who has just signed in to stand up again so we can give them a round of applause. Get up. All right. All right, item 13, consider an act upon leasing the portable building located at 116 West Malone to the Devine Golf Group. This is the portable building that sits to the east of the clubhouse. They've asked about it. I think at one point we talked about we were going to have them actually price moving it. They did price moving it. They're saying that they can move it, I don't remember how many miles, but it was enough that we could, or it was within the city limits, I think is what it was, for 600 for us. So the golf course though is still asking if they can lease it as additional office and storage space. So I guess if somebody from the golf course wants to get up and explain what y'all are wanting, do y'all want to get up and, yeah, with the portable building?
Hello, Brian Navarro, Devine Golf Course. Yeah, we just kind of wanted to, with the, I don't know if y'all are all familiar with the layout of the new clubhouse restaurant, sports bar area, but there's not a lot of storage at all. There's not a lot of office space. You know, we're sharing space with the restaurant, and we kind of wanted to keep that portable building to use for storage and or office space for some of our staff. So, building's there. I think you guys had some plans to move it out to the airport, which I don't think are in the plans anymore. And then also, I think with Rob at the city, which I don't think is in the plans either. So we'd like to keep it if we can.
This was for animal control, wasn't it?
Yeah, originally we thought we could move it to the airport, but we can't move it to the airport because it's not a permanent structure. So then we talked to Rob about it. They don't need it over at they have their own stuff, and we actually need to build them different facilities.
Yeah, they need to.
But then so the other option was to move it out for animal control over. We haven't discussed a price. I know we've talked back and forth about just throwing out a price and seeing if there's a price that y'all are willing to pay. So really, y'all haven't come up with anything.
We haven't come up with a price at all.
So it would be up to council to determine a price if y'all want to do that.
Can I ask, what are revenues looking like right now?
I mean, right now we're getting by. You know, we're paying bills. We haven't been able to do any improvements to the course.
So my reason for asking that is, are you looking good financially to finish, excuse me, to get into next season?
Absolutely.
To where we can justify spending the money to get animal control on a building?
Absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Do you have a thought on price?
I have absolutely no idea. At this juncture, I would, my only potential motion would be to ask city to look at a comparable building that animal control is okay with. God, I hate to have more crap in the budget.
The one that exists now, even Dora had said, it might have been your animal control person said when we were all talking about that one is actually bigger than they really kind of needed. And they would actually need a little smaller one, than what the one that at the golf course is. I mean, not that they wouldn't take it, trust me, but they could use one that is smaller than that.
Yeah, my understanding is they're gonna clear, they have the building that they have in the back, they were gonna clear that to let them, to make it bigger for them, the current building that they're in.
Okay.
I would think, it's there, the building's already there, by all means, you know, if you can utilize it, the cost on it, I'm just gonna throw this out there, maybe we can get with a real estate person, ask them what would be a fee for square footage leasing, you know, just to have an idea, you know, just, not that it's concrete, but just to have an idea we can work with that. But I'm all for it that we keep it there.
This would probably be more in line with an actual like storage unit.
Storage unit?
There's
Yeah,
nothing
storage
actually
unit.
inside.
The square footage, okay, we're going on that because I just walked away from a storage unit that was bigger than their building.
Okay.
And I was paid $150, so a month.
Does it actually have closed sides and a door?
Yes.
Oh,
It
okay.
has closed sides on the door, but there's no, when you walk inside, it's not like there's sheetrock on any of the walls or anything. They
It's unfinished.
yeah, it's unfinished.
Okay.
So,
They did do spray foam though. The Scotch Hill put spray foam in there because it
That's
cut.
I'm sure we can come up with solutions to make it work.
we paid about 14 for the building. Yeah, 13,925.
But it's now 2 years old.
A couple of years old, yeah, but
Can I have a motion, we table this until next month, until we get some sort of estimates on a cost? And it's like we get a chance to go up there and take a look at it and better understand what it's going to be used for and what animal control wants to do with it. So maybe next meeting, animal control can explain what their actual needs are. You folks explain what your actual needs are for the structure and see where it makes the most economic sense to place the building. And because I know animal control mentioned something about medication that they needed to maintain at a certain temperature. If you folks just need something for storage, it might make more sense to get you a more standardized structure.
Well, it's storage and office.
They're gonna do it office also. They have a side unit, I wonder what unit in there.
they do, yeah, they do have power. They ran power to it, which was supposed to be temporary, but it doesn't matter. It can exist. It's a temporary building theoretically, right?
Right.
So, I
I
mean,
think it's a 42 by 16, I think.
Yeah.
That's a big building.
of course, even with Josh's motion, you know, it still means they get to keep it for another month. But if we want to actually hear what the animal control, we can get, animal control, we can get, go ahead.
Just a reminder, remember, we cut 200,000 from the budget, and that was one of the items we cut. So that's why animal control was gonna make their existing building work. The back part of that building, the police department utilizes for storage, so they're gonna clean that out to make that bigger for them. Because
okay, so
remember, we had to cut
Yeah, you go.
200,000 that y'all wanted us to cut, and that was one of the items that was cut.
Yes.
Can we make sure animal control's good with this before we just cut it and
Well,
go?
she's saying-
But we've already talked, they're
That's-
aware.
That's why they were able to cut, was
Yeah.
because they knew that they
When
could
we went
organize
back
that
to cut
part.
the 200,000 and we talked to them, they understood and they said that they would make the back part work for them. It's big enough. Rob, do you know how big that back part is?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I made my motion.
I don't remember what the motion was. Table this until
Just
next
table
month?
this next month.
Okay. Do you want to get,
Back finding.
like I said, it doesn't matter, they're gonna get to use it for the full month anyways.
I concur.
So that way we can make sure that if that's
That
what
we
your
have an
concern
actual
is.
price.
Yeah, we have an actual price.
And maybe throw it by them before. the
Yeah, we
meeting.
can
I
contact
mean,
them.
you
That way
two
we
should
can
be in
get
on
you guys
that, I would
price.
think.
Yep, for sure.
All right, so let's table this until next month, until we have an actual price and,
Can I just, if we could all put our thoughts to Dora on that then?
yeah, please go ahead and send
Email
whatever you're wanting.
our thoughts on what it could or should or might be.
Price-wise is what you're talking about?
Price-wise.
Yeah, which we find off our own, okay,
Mhm.
that's fine.
All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Okay,
Brian.
we have a motion to table it, I need a second.
Second.
Have a second from Flipper, all in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. Fourteen, consider an act upon for council to approve assisting the Devine Golf Group LLC on the repair of the water well and pump.
We agreed to it.
We did 50%, so, but it still has to come before us to be approved.
Jay Dishman, 700 Jack Nicholas. So I believe we got the invoices and stuff for the repairs for the water well in May and in August. So but in addition to that, we have a South Texas electric bill that was due to a disconnect box that caught fire that supplied one of our water wells up by the clubhouse next to the putting green. Just needing to overlook those and see if we can have some kind of assistance as far as that goes. We paid for them already, so we're just looking what we had in our contract as far as splitting some of those costs for us there at the golf course.
Right.
And currently at a situation right now to where we have one of our water wells, our pumps that are down on 13, and we're in the process of to where we've already had an estimate for repair, and Rob's working with I believe Unison for a quote and an estimate as well. And we have another one we're going to have a total of 3 estimates to where we can kind of come up with the best plan, best solution to benefit us as the Devine Golf Group LLC in the city to come up with the most reasonable and try to get this water well situation fixed. So,
Did we get the, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
did we get the invoices, a copy of them?
I'm sorry?
Did we get a copy of the invoices?
We have a
Yeah,
copy of the
we sent
invoices that
them to you
are,
today.
yeah, copy of the invoices that are paid.
I'll bring it back to you.
Yeah, there's 5 here. Yeah, there's a couple, because they're different items, yeah. So if I'm correct, we're responsible for half, right? Is that the
Yeah,
contract?
that's
Yeah.
what the contract is, yeah.
Do we have a total on what half is?
I think it's probably 66, somewhere around there, possibly.
Can we get a total on that so we can just make that in the motion?
I wanted to, while we have the opportunity and bring this up, as far as the water well systems that we have out there, they're outdated and inefficient. They use a lot of energy, to where our jockey system is down that supplies the big pump. And to repair that, we're looking at another $8,000, $5,000 to $8,000. Where if we keep putting Band-Aids on these repairs, and this has been going on for a while, and I believe the last management company that had it had put $50,000 in it in 2 years into the front side. And this is just, bringing it to the table, kind of shining some light on the situation that we have. Is this might be an opportunity for both parties to redo the pump system, the pump house on the backside, to update it and have a frequency, a variable frequency drive system installed on these pumps, to where these things are basically operating at 25% of the power. Instead of these motors, these wells and motors running at their maximum output constantly, you can dial that back and you can save up to 25 to 45% in your energy bill. And that's the largest expense that we have operating the golf course is electric, and it's for those wells and irrigation. If we're paying $4,000 a month for the backside and the front side to be operated in electric bill, and we have these VFDs set up to these pumps, you're saving $1,000 each month on both sides. It is a big expenditure up front, but in the long run, you're getting your money back, and you're getting a system that's not only the wear and tear on your motors as it's set up right now, it's starting cold and running at 1,000 RPMs. You have something that can just dial it up slowly, and then when it's at its peak to where it's irrigating the system, it's running at the very lowest RPMs or power to be able to take care of watering the golf course. And it's something that I believe if we're going to keep putting, it's 8,000 from May to August, and then now we're at another 8,000, maybe 5,000. We're working to try to find the cheapest route that we can possibly go. We're not looking to spend any more money than we can. So we're getting 3 people kind of bid against each other to get the cost down. But within 9 months, we're already looking at $16,000 on just that back section. We haven't made a choice to fix the jockey yet. We're putting a lot of strain on the existing pump that's there, and it'll keep us watering what we need to get by. But we're gonna have to make a decision, unfortunately, and I know Rob's working on it as well, just as we are, to try to find the best possible direction to head from here. One of these systems, are $44,000, and it sounds like a lot, but I mean, if you're decreasing your energy and the wear and tear on your motors, in the long run, you're going to be better off. But it's a tough decision because money is always an issue.
Something I'd be happy to discuss in the future, if you could come back to some COAs and costs on that, but also some income projections, because I'm concerned the cost on that is going to be dramatically more than the potential income that we could get from it over 5, 10 years.
So that's another thing, like the revenue that, after 9 months, I mean, you can see the revenue, and we've had a lot of support. I mean, we all are aware of the communities come together. We have as many golf tournaments as we possibly can. We have foundations set up there. We're doing the right things. Everybody's doing the right things to support the golf course. It's just the revenue wise, it's maintaining. And if we don't have any breakdowns or any issues, we can build up a little money, but we can't ever commit to getting the course in better shape or just upgrading anything or doing some of the maintenance like we really want to. And it just gets a little, you have a group of people that are up there working their tails off to, see it, but we're really just holding on, trying to maintain what we have, and that's, part of business, understandably, but.
That wasn't intended to be a spear throw at you.
What's that? No,
I didn't intend to throw a spear at you.
No, you're not. I just want to be transparent and just tell you kind of what we're working with and how it's going. Really at that point is we just have to come up with ways to our big expenditures, to bring them down, to make that course more efficient, to where we can build up a little bit to, take care of all the trees on the front nine, make it a little bit more charming and attractive. Anyhow.
Sorry. I have an additional concern there. We do pay for the well maintenance, but where do you draw the line there between the electric and the actual well? I mean, like you just saw, their idea of a well is like the hole in the ground.
Right.
Then I give you a concrete pad. So where do we draw the line? Maybe a question for you, Tom, there legally, what are we paying for? The well, the motor, the line, the electric, back to the breaker? I mean, where's the line drawn there and what we're paying for it?
My understanding, excuse me, we were going to pay half of the cost to keep the well running, right?
Well,
we're talking about, you had a box go bad, an electrical box, went bad. So that's something that's needed. I mean, they're not asking us to help them pay for the electrical charge, just for the repairs to get the electric to the power to the well. And then the repairs to the well itself, right?
Yes, sir.
So there's two separate things, Josh, but it's all to allow them to pump water onto the course. We're not paying them day-to-day power.
I'm aware of that. The contract's really vaguely written here, so I'm asking for clarification. And what are we allowed to pay for here for the contract? It's literally a sentence.
The total on this, Denise totaled it all up. The total, our share of this, what's in front of us, actually what's on the agenda, right, is $6,593.87.
Oh, okay.
So.
Our share.
Our share, yeah. The total on what they gave us with the invoices that we have is like $13,187.73.
Right.
So, for the time being, I know we have other conversations, but for the time being, we just need to go ahead and approve this amount. I guess we're gonna have to amend the budget, approve this amount, amend the budget, and that way we can go ahead, they can go ahead and get their money because they've already paid for this.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
David, did you have anything?
Well, let's go ahead and get through this. I'll ask you something.
Okay, all right, so we have a motion from Debbie, a second from Flipper, to go ahead and approve the $6,593.87 and amend the budget. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye. Oh, yeah, aye. Anyone against? No.
Yeah, I know we've talked, in the past and mentioned about it too, and, by all means, we want you guys to succeed. And that's why I mentioned to you, whenever you encounter some issues, come to us, and let's try to we'll try to make things too. No guarantees, no promises, but, let's kick some dust around and see what we can come up with to benefit everybody on this part.
I'm completely on board with that, except I also come from a perspective, the city has subsidized the golf course a lot. So I'm very, very resistant to throwing any more money down that hole.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you guys are seeing that with running it.
Yeah, certainly, understandable from both sides. And we, me living on the golf course as well and paying the taxes that I do, I feel like, we always wish we have, more people that live on the golf course that were members, but they're not. And they're paying premium taxes. I feel like maybe some of that percentage should go to the golf course to be maintained. Not a lot, but I mean, it's
You
definitely.
can include that analysis there of the amount of property taxes you folks around the golf course pay compared to the rest of the city.
Yeah.
That might make a good case to help change my mind.
Yeah, just maybe a little bit, but appreciate it.
I had just one little tiny thing. We just did budget. I'm sorry, I get crazy over the budget. And to upgrade the system, it sounds awesome. I would love for it to happen. We don't have that money in the budget.
No,
But it is something you're gonna have to check into, find out what it is, blah, blah, blah. It could take you until next budget season
Absolutely.
to come up with that. And that would be maybe something we could look into for next year. But
It's
we
just-
don't got the money for that,
Yeah,
Mr. Dishman.
understandable. I just really wanted to bring it to our attention because I think, like I said, whether it happens now or happens a year or 2 years down the road,
Yes.
I think everybody would benefit from it. So, thank you.
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
All right, item 15, consider an act upon appraisal submitted by Sam Noble for the city-owned real property describes as follows. Lot number 1, block 5, the Bain Edition of the City of Devine, Medina County, Texas, and for the council to decide to sell this property by public auction or by sealed bids. We have the appraisal here.
So we're just deciding on sealed bids or auction?
Well, we have to go ahead, we have the appraisal now, so we have to make a decision if we want to actually move forward with the sale. And then we have to make a decision on whether or not we want that sale to be sealed bids or public auction.
I'll make a motion, we move forward with the sale of the property, block number 5, Bay Edition, City of Devine.
As a public?
Oh, sorry, I thought that would be a separate motion.
This can,
As a public
all
auction.
one or?
You can add it, Josh.
All right.
Sealed or public auction.
Public auction.
I'll second that.
I was gonna say, if there's no discussion, we'll go ahead and I'll take that motion.
Can we say with the minimum bid though?
The minimum
When we
bid,
do the auction?
Is it appraised value?
the minimum bid has to be the 24,000.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure we were getting that.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll second you.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. When will this actually take place?
We have to get all the notices. Corey, it could, I'm going to say probably December at the earliest.
Couple months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because we
All right.
have to notify the paper and everything?
I'm sorry?
Yeah, it
We
has
have
to
to
be
put the
posted.
notification in the meeting?
Yes,
The
yes, ma'am.
paper and everything?
Yes,
Okay.
And will that take place? Will it take place here at the community center, I guess, like when we do other bids? Or at City Hall or for the auction?
That's one of the things I've been running through my mind. We can have it at the site. We can have it at the courthouse steps on a day that they're having foreclosures. There'll be more people there. It's up to the council. You can give us direction. We're going to have time on that.
All right, we'll just think of the options, let us know, we'll pick something, I guess, and give direction. But all right, we have a motion, we have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes.
Can we have that by November though? Those options?
Oh, yes, yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to if it's possibly December.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I can
Kinda
get
need
it
to
to
make
door
that-
by, I can get it to door by tomorrow. Okay.
That's great, just so we're all prepared.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to put it in our advertisement.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's on the
true.
paper.
I'm sorry.
All right. Item 16, consider and act upon the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission. This is the meeting that was held on October 11th, 2022, and October 24th, 2022.
Do we have to do them all separate?
Yeah,
That would be best.
Okay.
so the first is gonna be, let me find the right item here on my list. This is gonna be the plat. This was the Medina Electric plat where they are increasing the size of their substation out here.
AEP, Mayor.
Or AEP, I'm so sorry,
Yeah.
AEP.
And somebody's here from, representative from AEP.
Okay. Okay. Do we have any questions for him? I know we've already looked at this. Yeah, but this is the plat now that we have to approve.
I make a motion to approve it
Okay.
first and zoning
Well,
commission.
they approved it already, so yeah.
Yeah, all we're doing is approving the plat
Yep.
from what we already talked about.
I'll second that.
So we have a motion and a second to go ahead and approve this subdivision plat for AEP. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. Tom, do we need like a plat number or something with that? Or are we okay with that motion?
No, we're okay with that.
Okay, because normally we have like a whole there's a plat number somewhere on here, I'm sure. Okay. B, which is meetings, is the 11th and the 24th. This is a variance requested, submitted by Veronica Schaefer for a lot requirement, minimum of 9,000 square feet of area and side setback request for, she's going to use this piece of property for residential use. The property address is 1217 South Bright, which bears the following legal description, that's just Devine, Block 13, Lot 2 and 1, part of. Okay.
Once again, planning
She's also here, I'm sorry.
once again, planning and zoning has already approved this variance, and we're in support of our planning and zoning.
Yes.
I take it.
So what?
Make the motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to go ahead and approve the variance.
I would like for me, well, okay, so I have a question on this one.
Go ahead.
Tom, so, and this goes back to talking about manufactured homes and the requirements for those. I thought we could make variances by state law. How does the variance legality work?
You can make a variance, yeah. And this is kind of a, every one is kind of unique, Josh. And this one, it's an existing building, an old building that's probably built before the town was incorporated. And now they're coming back and they're wanting to follow the zoning requirements. The building, the side yards are too small. So it's probably, some of the walls are probably built pretty close to the lot lines so that they can't meet the required 5 feet. But we wanted to have a beneficial use of the property. And
I'm not opposed to it. It's
right,
just
no, I'm explaining.
nonsensical.
I'm explaining, I'm not arguing for, I'm just giving the facts. So, and then our ordinance also requires that it be 9,000 square feet. And they don't have 9,000 square feet for that. They've already got the building, and it's my understanding that they spent a lot of money already getting things ready. So, and they're just going to, and they're here, they're more than happy to talk with you about it, right?
Absolutely.
So come on up.
I'm not opposed.
Well, no, I mean, if anybody else has any questions, because they're more familiar with it than I am, so. And they're excited about this project.
I'm so excited. Good evening, everybody. I know, he's like, sit down. No, I'm happy to answer any questions. It's really what he was talking about, that the building was built in 1897, and we were just hoping to use it as a residential use, or allow us to use it for that use, because there's a lot of residences that are right around that. So we just wanted that opportunity.
Let me be on the record saying I'm in favor of horizontal mixed use. Do what you want with your property as long as you don't infringe upon the rights of your neighbors.
Great, sounds good.
The neighbors are already residential.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why planning and zoning was okay with it, that I think at least 2 of the neighbors are already residential, and they're on similar situations with older commercial buildings. Not as old as y'all's, but
Right.
older commercial buildings. So, all right, then do we, let me see here.
David motion.
We have a motion, we have a
We have a
second.
motion, we have a second, yeah.
Do we have a second?
Okay. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor of allowing them to use this for residential purposes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
This is the meeting from October 11th. This is a variance request for a 5-foot this is reads weird, but it's a 5-foot front setback requirement from the 15-foot front property line of 508 Mockingbird Lane. Spares the legal description of Colonial Oaks Block 22, New City Block 138, Lot 3. Essentially, what he's asking for is right now when you have those structures, metal structures that you park under, like carports. We have to be at least 15 foot back from the front property line. He's asking for a 5-foot variance so he can move it forward, so he's like 10 foot back is the way it winds up working. So I actually have to thank him for even asking, because we have tons of these in this town that were never asked about to begin with. Joe just went and said that.
Mine might be one.
Very possibly.
It was that way when I got
So
it.
there's one over on Libel that I swear is probably within a couple of feet of the property line.
Oh, that's true.
So-
It is.
Is it here?
I don't think so.
My only question is, will there be walls?
No, it is
No.
supposed to be an open structure.
It's an open structure.
Right, they didn't tell it, it's supposed to be an open carport structure.
I do remember reading in the thing, it said open structure. That was one of the questions planning and zoning asked. And they said, no, it's gonna be open.
Yeah. In the application that he did, it has an open carport
Yeah.
on the application.
Again, I guess, I should be thankful that he even came and asked,
I'm
because
thrilled.
quite frankly,
Make a
nobody
motion
else
to
does.
accept.
I'll second that.
Have a motion to go ahead and allow for the variance, and then Flipper, Debbie.
Yeah, Flipper can
All
have
right,
it.
Flipper with a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes. All right, 17. Consider an act upon for the council to approve for the garden club to move ahead with submitting sprinkler layouts for the four corners to the city for permits, and for the permits to be waived. So what is happening here is the garden club is wanting to redo the sprinkler system over at Four Corners. That way they can actually make sure they're mapped out, so that way we can actually like have band boosters or whoever actually put signs in and not have to worry about hitting sprinklers, which is why they don't allow it at the moment.
Right.
Because there's not a layout. My understanding is they actually have gotten help or gotten money or somehow, I'm not for sure. But anyhow, they're wanting to move forwards with it. All they're asking is that we waive the permit fees, because there'd be 4 permits technically, because there's one on each corner with its own meter.
We should just get rid of the permits.
Well, if you want to make a motion. That's exactly what they're asking for.
They're
So.
willing to, once they have the layout, to submit it so that the city knows where the sprinkler system will be, because,
I'm not opposed, Debbie.
I'm just saying, because a lot of people don't realize the reason why we can't put stuff out there now.
We don't know when sprinklers.
We don't know what sprinklers are, and they put holes in, not us, like me specifically, but it has happened when you go to put the stakes in the ground and then we go with the water leak. So that's why nobody can put up their signs anymore on the corners.
Make a motion to accept the agenda item.
All right, so go ahead and
Waive the fee.
waive the
Waive the
permit
fee.
fees.
The fee, but not your variance inspection.
I think it's still, well, they're gonna have to inspect because there has to be a backflow on it.
Yes.
We're not gonna be able
Yeah.
to avoid that. This is
Yeah.
gonna be the permit fees that they pay through City Hall.
Exactly.
They're still gonna have to have the inspection for the backflow.
Oh, they would know that, but I mean, they just wanted to have the permit fee waived so that, because it's just an added
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's
cost.
4 of them, because there'd be one on each corner, because each
Yeah.
one has its own meter, so. All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Seconded?
Debbie?
Debbie?
Anyone against? Motion passes.
Awesome.
Okay, 18, consider an action upon a sponsor for the Four Corners. This is on Highway 173 and 132 for this year's Christmas decorations. Debbie, this was yours. I know it's not marked yours, but it is yours.
Okay, so last year, I found someone, well, the only company in my district to do the fourth corner, since Mayor has one corner, Chamber has a corner, and
Garden Club has the other.
Garden Club has a corner. The one where, is it Scoots?
Yeah.
Where Scoots is now, doesn't have a sponsor. But I did it last year, I got someone to do that. So I'm kind of throwing it at you guys. Y'all can have,
You're like somebody who has more businesses in their
y'all
district
have
besides
more
one.
businesses in your districts than I do. And we need to find one right away and get it done because we kind of want them up by Thanksgiving.
Okay, when do you need an answer on that?
You just find somebody and get them to do it.
What does that entail? What does that entail?
They just need to go over and decorate. They need to be aware, obviously, there's sprinklers on the ground, so don't use stakes. I mean, obviously.
Are they allowed to put like an advertisement up for their business?
It's not really an advertisement, it's a
They had a
decoration for the holidays.
Yeah, last year though, they did have a sign outside that was small, like campaign signs type, that just said sponsored by, and each corner had one.
Gotcha.
So when there was Chamber, there was the one that I did, there was the one that the Garden Club did, and then there was the one that the golf course did last year. So
Okay.
it wasn't advertising per se, but there was a sign there so people knew who
Cool.
did it. So,
We'll get somebody in mind, I'll contact them tomorrow.
okay, do y'all want to communicate on that then?
Yeah, I'll copy people.
That'd be great,
Yeah.
that'd be great.
So, and well, we can
Are y'all-
communicate back through Dora as well.
Are you
so
guys
that way we
good
can
with
get
that? If David felt it,
I'm gonna contact them, I'm sure they'll be willing to.
then we can have Dora send out notes to
I don't want to
everybody.
accidentally have a quorum or something of chain mail. Something.
That's what I was gonna say,
Yeah,
just
but
send
it
it all
has
to
to go
Dora.
through Dora, yeah.
And Dora can handle that for us as well. Okay, well, that's
We
fine.
really need all four corners. I thought it looked great last year.
It did, but I think people just don't realize that that corner's kind of, not a vacant corner, but it's not somebody, there's not a set person on that corner, like there are on the other corners. So, all right, well, we'll just, I'm not gonna ask for a motion for anything. David's volunteered, and we can stay in communication and see if that works. If not,
We'll
we'll
find somebody.
keep trying over the next week or two. And, but yeah, okay. 19, consider an act upon council to allow the Public Works Department to remove 2 trees on the alley between Mockingbird and Hickory Highway. We have a couple of trees in the alley that have forced that alley so tight that they need to be removed. So that way vehicles can get up and down that alleyway, because we do have utilities in that alley. This is coming to us because, well, people don't like it when we cut down trees. So, we're gonna,
I don't think Rob wanted to just make that decision. I think he
No.
wanted us to know about it.
it was within his power, but he was like, no, not gonna be the one. He wants
It's
council
a
to know
really
about it.
large tree too. Well, it's actually, isn't it 2? It's 2 trees kind of together. It's big.
Yeah.
Is that bad?
They, like I said, they're gonna have to be
606.
removed. They're sitting in the alleyway.
Mockingbird.
So do we need to get some prices from a removal company or something?
Are we doing it?
Rob, how are we planning on handling those? Are we gonna have somebody do it for us, or are we just going to do
I would
it?
like to get someone to do it that's pretty touchy in there.
Okay.
Close to the armpit now.
They're right against fences, and I think there's power lines right there too, right? Yeah.
Yeah, are we even allowed to touch them then until they're cleared from the power lines? Are we allowed to touch them before they're cleared from the power lines?
If we call AV or whoever, they'll cut around it and then we're still stuck with the rest of it.
Let's call them first and then call someone else. Might reduce the cost.
Well, yeah, they'll end up cutting down some, but yeah, we're still gonna end up needing to get it removed. Are we okay with go ahead and approving for them to move forwards with removing those trees? So do y'all want to stop cost? I mean, it's gonna have to be done, it's gonna have to be
We
done.
have to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, the gas meter's been hit there before.
Yes, it has been. I saw pictures of the gas meter that's a little bit off to one side.
Oh, she had a heart attack that day when that guy hit it.
Mm-hmm.
It was scary for her.
So, then Flipper knows exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
You know which trees we're talking about, so. All right, so,
Because y'all are gonna have to amend the budget, it's better for y'all to have Rob come back with some costs.
all right, well, then that's fine. Do you want us, Dora, do you want us to table it then until Rob has the cost?
Can
Or
we
do you
approve
want?
him to have it cut down and get the cost and bring it back to us?
Yes, okay. That's fine then. Do I hear a motion for that then to go?
I'll make that motion.
All right,
I'll
to
second.
Approve, you have it cut down, but to bring us back cost. Okay. Motion, we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against? Motion passes.
Motion. You second.
Motion.
You second. Debbie motioned.
Yep, second, yeah. There we go. Item 20, consider and act upon reappointments for the Devine Housing Authority. So, we have Mr. Villalobos actually retired this year from the Housing Authority. He's been on there for a long time. Long time. I don't know when he got on there originally, but he was been on there for a long time. So, and that would be, I think, Denise Morales is who's taking his spot, and the other two are already there, if I remember correctly. Are there any objections to the?
I have a question. I mean,
Go ahead.
Denise Morales is secretary of mine. Is that a problem?
No, because the housing authority covers more than just Devine, right? Is what, it covers up to it covers Natalia for sure.
I think that's what she said, is that they've been helping Natalia.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it does cover a wider breadth than just Devine. And actually, she supposed, from what I understand, from what Dora told me, actually went out of her way to find somebody who wasn't in Devine, because it does cover more than just Devine now. So does Denise live up in the, I guess, Natalia area?
No, she lives in Divine.
Oh, she lives in Devine, okay.
Does she live inside city limits or outside?
No, she's in my district.
Oh, okay. Then everything's good there.
But you were concerned because you guys work together? Is that-
On these board appointments like this, it doesn't matter. Am I correct in saying that, Tom?
Right.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
You good?
Okay.
All right, I have a motion to go ahead and approve these three individuals to serve on the housing board?
I still move on, Mayor.
All right, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Okay. Where to go? Let me see these two. Okay. 21, consider an act upon chapter 14 of the ordinance. This is for foul. This is requested by Josh. So.
I can't speak. Oh, you can speak.
Who's going to for you?
We have right here, Steve.
Oh, Steve, okay.
Hi everybody, I'm Steve Smith. I raise poultry for a living. This is what I do, so for those of you who don't know, well, I think everybody knows. I just wanted to share a couple things on the poultry ordinance discussion. It doesn't affect me at all, but it's just to share because this is what I do, and I know there is a lot of very valuable concerns regarding the allowance of poultry within the city. Specifically because they're noisy and they're stinky. They can be. Not in all cases though. So, but I'd like to share some thoughts on you from here. So, just everybody, I've been doing this about 4 years. We have a ranch that's out by surrounded by the Yantas, but we out by Black Creek area. But we also have our home at 413 Malone, and for those who don't know, that's directly across from the 3rd Tee. Now we're in the county, we're not in the city, but it's we have 1 acre there, and we're right smack in the middle of the golf course community. So we raise them different than what most folks understand from conventional poultry eggs, meat, that type of thing. And I'll get into some specifics on that. But the big difference in the way that we raise ours is that we raise them out on grass. They're outside, they're not locked in a barn, they're not jammed into a small coop area or anything else. They're outside, they graze. And there's some great benefits to, not only from the animals themselves, but to the soil health and to the, we get a lot of carbon sequestration. I can discuss more of that in a moment. Right, so again, we raise ours on grass. They're moved every day. They're in a small pen. These are meat birds specifically, and but we also do the same thing with layers. So the small pen that the meat birds are in, it's think a dog kennel that just moves every day. So what that does is it makes for a better, healthier bird than you would get conventionally from a Tyson or a Pilgrim's Pride or a Purdue, the three monolithic giant poultry producers that you see normally in the grocery store, and which are horrendously raised, and they're not really benefiting the consumption or the environment that they're living in. But because we do move them, we get a lot of I get free fertilizer on my grass, and it really proves to hold a lot of moisture in the ground or in the soil itself, and which is obviously beneficial to the city, but for understanding, that whole side yard at my place on the south side of my yard is where I was raising those birds, and I only watered that grass about once every 2 weeks, even during the worst of the drought, and I'm green. So I retain a lot of soil. I retain a lot of soil health in there. I retain a lot of water and moisture, and it just turns into a big sponge. So that's very helpful. So. And you'll understand why. At any one time when we were raising them on that property, that 1 acre piece of property that's in the middle of the golf course community, I had between 40 and 70 birds on my property at any given time. Between 40 and 70. And there were, not that I ever knew, there were never any issues. In fact, I had a lot of people who would come by and stop and just wanted to watch. Like the layers are different birds than the meat birds. And we had a roo out there for a while, but he became irritating, so he had to go. So usually they're quiet. They don't do anything. They don't make a mess. They contain within the property. And again, I was only using maybe a quarter of an acre on my 1 acre piece of property to raise those birds. So for distinction, there is 2 types of birds, 2 main types, and we're talking about the difference like we would a dog, a Dalmatian and a Dachshund. You've got laying hens that produce eggs, and then you have meat birds that produce meat, and they are distinctly different in how they're raised and how they're managed. The meat birds are a standard. It's the same type of a bird that you would get as a meat bird in a commercial environment, and they are. There's about an 8-week cycle between hatch to harvest. Egg layers, you have a long-term commitment with. They're going to be out on grass too, as well. They're going to be in a mobile coop. And I don't know if for those of you all who used to drive by, I converted an old horse trailer and I moved it around the property so that they could impact that soil in different places, and they could spread out their scratching, manure, all the things that they did. But that was also rotationally grazed, and that was the laying hens. And you have about a 2-year commitment with those ones at least. So it's a longer term. My wife does those. I do the meat birds. She doesn't like to slaughter, and I don't like long-term commitments with animals. Okay, so one of the reasons that we did it, and which is the reason that there's a lot of people in the United States and all over the world actually that are starting to do exactly what we do, is for food security. So if y'all remember how good it was to go on the shelves in the grocery store during COVID, and also during the freeze that sucked. There was nothing in there. There was no food on the shelves. You couldn't get eggs. You just couldn't get food, and there was problems with that. So what a lot of folks have chosen to do, and this is again very common throughout the world right now, is that they've chosen to raise their own meat birds or their own laying hens, or both, some combination thereof. It's a small impact. It's not like having a cow running around your house. it could be very small. And we're talking, people are raising in their backyards as few as 5 meat birds at any given time. And again, it's an 8-week cycle, so if you always have 5 birds running around there, or you would have 10 because you're half the time in a brooder and half the time on grass, then you can rotate that grazing and you're not going to impact the soil too much. You're going to produce really good grass, which is beneficial, and you're going to reduce your water consumption on that grass. But at the same time, you're also going to be feeding your family, and you're not going to have the problems of food security. So that's why a lot of folks have chosen to do this. We belong to an organization called the Farm and Ranch Freedom Alliance. It's short for FARFA. And it kind of sounds funny, but they're an advocacy group here in Texas, and they're best known for some of the larger pieces of legislation they helped through was the raw milk, where now you can go buy raw milk outside of going out to a farm to buy raw milk. And they're really, it's about letting people do what they, live the way they want to and produce the way that they want to. So they're also doing the ungraded eggs. For everybody to understand, the grading of eggs is the size, and it has nothing to do with the health of the eggs, and it has nothing to do with the nutritional or the any kind of contamination or anything else like that. It has nothing at all to do with it. It's just the size, and so that's really controlled by the big egg houses that are out there. And so folks are realizing this one, and they're saying, "Oh, I want to raise my own." So that's another one of the things that FARFA is helping out with. But there is right now they're working on some legislation to lay out some requirements for HOAs and cities so that people can still be independent and raise their own food if they need to, even on a smaller scale. And one thing we're really fortunate here in Devine is, and this is a credit to y'all, is that we have larger lot sizes. Even our smaller properties are larger than your normal crammed in, West San Antonio or Converse or something crazy like that, where you get a jam people, you can see into your neighbor's backyard and you don't want to see things. Okay, so that would allow people to be able to do this, and there wouldn't be much of a problem. I'm sure that anything y'all are considering is not because you hate poultry, or you hate eggs, or you don't want people to be independent and not have to go to the grocery store and see empty shelves, or even just they want to eat better than what's in the grocery store because it's not good. So I know it's more about nuisances, and if you have again roosters running around and crowing at all hours of the day, that's irritating as nope, we don't have them anymore, so we don't let them around our house. We have some out the ranch, and they're good protectors out there, but when they're in town like this, you don't need a rooster, because they're protectors. They're not really anything more than that. So there's no need for roosters necessarily. So if you're considering any kind of restrictions or limitations, I would absolutely agree with something like the no roosters. And also that we went down to Pearsall one time, and they said there's no poultry allowed in Pearsall, but there are chickens running all around that godforsaken place. They're everywhere. And because they're essentially feral. But we have the same restrictions in the city for dogs and cats. You can't just let your dog or cat run around, so you say you can't let your chicken run around. So any recommendations that I would give as somebody professionally who does this, again, no roosters. Animals have to be contained on the property, and some sort of a ratio per acre, because we have differing sizes. And like I said, I was doing quite a bit on 1 acre between my layers and my meat birds, and there was no issue there. It's a matter of how you raise them, and we didn't present a nuisance to any of the neighbors, and they were all happy. We never got any comments, and again, I had a lot of comments that came back that were positive. People would stop by and just park and watch the layers walk around and do chicken things. So anyhow, so no roosters, contained on the property, some sort of a ratio per acre, and then you can't present a nuisance, obviously, because you have neighbors to think about. So, and pending your questions, I'm glad to answer anything you might have, but on the issue about chicken?
All I had was noise-wise and smell.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Especially
great.
after a rain or something.
Yeah.
How bad?
Can I share something with you? I was at the ranch and I actually was getting ready to come in here and I took a quick vid. Took a couple here. So we'll turn the volume all the way up. That's 100 chickens in there between those two pens. You guys hear it? There's no roos in there because we don't need them. So and then there's these ones are in the bruisers. So that's what you hear. And that's like right up close to it. These aren't noisy birds. Meat birds aren't noisy at all. They never get to maturity or to level of maturity to crow. So good. And as far as the nuisance goes, it really has to do with again how you raise them and how you if you got too many stuck in one small space, then it's going to present a smell absolutely, and that's nobody wants that. There are also, you got a lot of people who are in town here. I'm not trying to dime anybody out, but there's some people in the city, small properties who have plenty of backyard birds and nobody knows about it. But there's also some that you do know about. So, and I would say that just from that, if somebody's doing it small scale, you know, gosh, they have 5 laying hens in their house, in their backyard, and they're in a small pen, they're unclosed, they're not going anywhere. That I don't know how much of a nuisance that or smell that would provide. So.
Question I've got is, but you're located in the county.
I am, yeah. But I guess my point was, I'm smack in the middle of the golf course community, and I have 1 acre, and we have larger properties, we have smaller properties within the city. But yeah, so nothing you guys would do would ever affect me. I'm just trying to provide some advice and some understanding.
Right.
Like your place, you could easily run a bunch of laying hens in your backyard.
I mean, the fact that he's out in the county, I mean, we really can't, or can we do anything?
No, I think, David, he's just presenting the argument for changing the ordinance.
Right, okay.
Yeah. No, just forget about the county. He's just letting you know that whatever we do on the ordinance is not going to affect him because his production is out of the county.
Right.
Yeah, I can go get 20 roos and let them run around my place and just tick everybody off, huh?
You could.
I wouldn't do that. I don't want to hear the dog on things.
So
they're irritating.
Any questions, Steve? If not, I think there's other people who do want to comment on this.
I'm good.
You good? Anything else? Thank you.
Thanks, Steve.
Get up and introduce yourself.
Yes, Michelle Hayden. How are you guys this evening? I live up just in town on Devine Drive, and I also am here for the animal ordinance 14. Specifically this phrasing, which really bothers me, because I have a 2.5 acre lot, and we do have chickens as well. I think it's 14-4.7. It says the total number of domestic fowl allowed at a residence is 10 fowl with no roosters. Well, for me, I feel like that's absurd. It doesn't specify how much land. It just says any residence. And so I feel like we just came from Casterville. We had 1/3 of an acre, and we had 10 chickens on our 1/3 acre. And we were producing about an egg a day, and it was fantastic. We were getting 10 eggs a day, imagine that. And during COVID, when we went through the grocery store, during the lockdowns, when there was all that supply problem, panic, and there were shortages of food, we were never having to worry about eggs. In fact, we were able to give them to neighbors who could not give them. And we felt so great. I mean, it bonded us as neighbors. It made our community we trusted each other, which I feel like that's the point of community in neighborhoods, is to have that kind of relationship. And so my husband and I decided, well, if we made that much with just that 1/3 of an acre, what can we do with 2.5 acres? And we moved here to Devine. And then we found out we could only have 10 here in the city limits, which was unfortunate because we would like to have more. I disagree with Steve on one account, and that is roosters. Because everyone knows, and if you want to produce chickens, you need to have a rooster. And we would like to produce chickens as well. so that, you know, if any of you have ever had chickens, they easily can die over silly things. They can easily scared, which causes them to have a heart attack. So you have to constantly renew your supply of chickens, constantly. And so that's why the roosters. I disagree. I mean, the noise is annoying. It can be a nuisance, but nothing more than what a dog does. And we all know there's tons and tons of dogs in Devine. And so I am asking you to consider amending this 14-4.7 to say, specify at least how many acres. Like, let us have more per acre. And also lift the rooster with the acreage. So I think if we do this, those of us that do farm and do want to have food security and self-sufficient and help our community become self-sufficient, we can produce things which you should support so that our community will be able to take care of each other during these trying times. And we know it's not getting any better anytime soon. There's shortage because of the war in Ukraine. There's shortages of fertilizer, which is causing big farmers to produce less. And so we need to have smaller, our own communities we need to encourage that so that we can help each other through these trying times. Thanks.
Come up and introduce yourself.
Okay. I promise I'll be brief. My name is Phil Montgomery. I live at 1204 Windy Knoll Drive. I'm the next door neighbor to Mr. Josh there, and I consider myself an expert witness in this because I do not hear, I do not smell, I do not see any problems with Josh, and I have no clue what he has back there. So I can say this, he takes care of it. And I understand there's some problems with the ordinance. I read it 2 or 3 times, frontwards and backwards, and I talked to Tom a little bit about it. One part it refers to residential, another part it refers to acreage, a cow or a chicken or a dog or whatever. So many acres per head. So it's kind of a nebulous term that needs to be addressed and what have you. I would say there's enough meat in this ordinance that if there is an issue, right or wrong as it stands, you can run with it and try to, make whoever's out of compliance be in compliance. But my next door neighbor has 12 acres. I have no clue how many chickens he's got. But they are good. We've swapped chickens for sausage and what have you, but they are good. So that's all I wanted to say is, I live next door. If there's a complaint with an issue or any type of situation with somebody raising chickens, you would think it would come from me or that woman sitting right over there. So, which is my wife, by the way. So I said I'd be brief, and I'm brief. Does anybody have any questions? Because I have lived here 63 of my 69 life, and Rudy Kalman had probably 500 chickens over there, roosters and all. And I didn't even care then. I just get him back by putting pigs in my backyard. So, but that's it. That's all I have. It's not a problem for me.
All right, thank you. Who else?
Kathy Lawler, 1106 Warhorse. And I understand how Josh takes care of his chickens and how you take care of your chickens. But what if we have 15 people that don't take care of their chickens? And they do smell, and they do make a mess. And then what do? You can't discriminate there. So that's my big concern. It's not a concern about the ones that do raise them right and take care of them. My concern is having people that don't do that. That's all I have to say.
Okay, council, y'all heard comments. I have comments too. Y'all want to hear those, or want to comment first?
Go ahead, sir.
Okay. I don't know if this is an issue because specifically of what the Kathy's pointing to. that we could actually just get rid of the actual law and ordinance. Because you do want to keep something there in case you do have that one individual at some point in time it's not working right, they're not maintaining, they're not doing correct. I'm sure there's ways to be able to word this where we could maybe make a broader spectrum, but it is what it is, right? There's only so many places in this town that have multiple acreage tracts anyways. And I guess if the council wants to see those tracts actually develop into, say, subdivisions, then we need to go down that road and incentivize and make sure they go into subdivisions. But if not, right now they're being used and in line with what Devine's traditionally used them as, which is farm to some degree or another. I'm okay with it being that way, and I'm okay with us keeping this kind of quasi-agricultural situation with our piece of property. Like Steve pointed out with the chickens, I've raised chickens whenever I was in 4-H back as a kid. They're messy, but they're not really. You can have, I don't know what we got in 4-H. I think it was 30 birds around, or 40 birds around. I don't know. 100 chickens isn't much. That's my point. You can have 100 chickens. 100 chickens isn't much. But the question is, do we want to handle this as across the board? Or do we handle this as a case by case and just say these properties are people who actually come and petition to us? No different than when we change zoning, right, for people who come and petition to us. Do we take it on case by case, those who want? That way, if there is an issue, we can always reverse that allowance at some point in the future. I don't really have an answer for it. I did talk to Tom about this, about handling like a planning and zoning situation where you go, okay, here's the property, they're wanting a zoning change, you send a letter to everybody within 200 feet of that property. Apparently that's something we can do, if that's right. Am I correct in that? Yeah. If we wanted to do something like that and say, here's a piece of property, say Josh's property, right? Here's Josh's property, we can send a letter, we can have a hearing. If nobody shows up, it is what it is. We have people here who've shown up and who are positive on it. We have Kathy's points as well, as saying, what happens if you do not have somebody in there who's going to take care of their stuff. I don't know, there's not really a true answer, but I guess we do have to determine how we want to see land develop in Devine. If we want to see it develop with subdivision housing and stuff, then we're going to have to go down that road and go ahead and do what needs to be done, which we haven't done that either necessarily. So, but that's just my 2 cents. David,
I would think, I understand what you're saying. I would say just basically have Eddie Diaz and Tom try to work together and come up with a solution and make a presentation. We'll take it from that point.
A presentation of what the actual code would look like?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And that would be probably I would suggest across the board for everyone.
Okay. So you'd want something so instead of just taking it case by case, that way they have, because when we take it case by case, it's very difficult at City Hall, because then City Hall has to go,
right,
well, hold up, let me go put it on an agenda, let's do this, let's do that, and it is easier if it's literally in an ordinance where we can look at it. So, I don't know, you had like 13 acres or something. That's a ton of land. So, and we have multiple acreage properties around here. Not as many as what we had previously, but we still do. So, but I can see why neighbors would. And maybe in that item, there would be a subsection about complaints or how we deal with complaints.
Yeah.
So, as far as odors, noise, okay.
It would fall under animal control.
Animal control?
Animal control handles that ordinance.
Would Eddie be able to, if that's what the motion is, we'll figure it out and pull from other towns or whatever. Debbie, I know you have the most no district on this. I know because I represented that district.
Right.
So go ahead and let us know what your district says.
Well, I posted and asked them, Here's what's going to be presented. What do you guys think? There are comments which y'all can go and read, and then I got a lot of PMs and a lot of phone calls and a lot of texts. So when I added all of that up, 80% said no. Like, just no. They don't want it smell, they don't want the mess, they don't want to see the chickens, they don't... Absolutely 100% said no to roosters. And all of them said, I live in the city, so I don't have to live next to a farm. And that was, again, 80%. So District 4, I'm sorry, not 4, 5 is an absolute no to change the ordinance.
And this is where I think that part of not gonna say downfall, but part of the problem with Devine not having subdivisions like a normal town has subdivisions is that normally in a normal town, subdivisions would have put these ordinances in their subdivision ordinances. So like where I live now, there are ordinances concerning everything we're talking about right now. There's not that when you go to other areas of Devine. So it'd be great if the subdivisions did come together and did actually do that, but it's a little late for that. So some of these subdivisions have been there for 60 years. So. All right, so I know, David, what you're asking for. Would it be something? Would it be something that you would be willing to look at, Debbie? As far as if they were to draft something, would you be willing to look at it if it had certain clauses in there to
do a case by case or to do an overall citywide?
Well, already they can have 10, so there's no way to get around that.
Right.
So this would only be if you're doing multiple acreage.
Correct.
And quite frankly, in District 5, there's only a couple of places that I can think of that are multiple acreage properties. So it would only be concerning those couple. Would you be okay with at least looking at something if that was happening? Okay.
My district's
I know,
already
your
made
district
their
is no.
determination is no.
Does your district know that they can still have 10 without?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there
Just
are
wanted to make
10.
sure.
Quite a few places have 10. Just saying.
Because on an actual like acre of land, you can have almost 5 houses.
Correct.
So theoretically, even with our laws now, you could have up to 50 chickens per acre of land, or close to it. So.
No, but I mean, I know there's chickens in District 5.
Oh, yeah.
We know that. But they don't want the farm issue.
But again, I don't know if that's going to be an issue in District 5.
It would not be, but...
Although you'd still have to vote the way your district wants to.
I still have to vote how my
but
district
yes, I
wants,
understand.
so...
Flipper. It looks like you may be the determining one on this one. Would you be willing to look at something if something was drafted?
The only thing I was worried about was just the noise and the smell, really. I mean, of course, the neighbor don't even know what's going on over there. And he has, I don't see.
Well, I wouldn't recommend anything right now.
No, but I would, like what David was saying too, I would look through it, but I don't have a problem with it either, but I mean.
You
Yeah.
need to talk to
Exactly.
your actual constituents, somehow or another, and actually get feedback. Okay. Okay. David, do you want to go ahead and make a motion to have them look to put together a draft? Or not put together a draft, but to look and see what other ordinances are.
Absolutely, and this would be for animal control instead of Mr. Diaz?
Mm-hmm. Animal control falls under, the ordinance falls under animal control.
Okay. So my motion would be, I make a motion to have animal control coordinate with Tom and draft up a plan for the future for the fowl and see what they can come up with.
And see what it looks like.
Yes, and then make a presentation and we'll decide at that point what direction we need to take.
Wouldn't it be just a change to the foul ordinance the way it is now?
Oh,
It's really what you're looking at is changing the foul
You end up
portion.
changing the foul portion of it, but there's probably gonna be more in there than, it's not gonna be as simple as what's in front of us right now.
No, it would probably be a little more entailed, but it's just changing the existing.
But I was feeling like if there's more acreage like this young lady has, what the.
Right, because that would be added to it, that's what I'm saying.
Right.
You're
Yeah, would it
only
be proportioned
changing
to
that
that?
portion of that ordinance.
Yeah, on acreage, or say if somebody owned multiple lots. There's a lot of people, even in District 5, who own 2
They
lots.
do own multiple lots,
Yeah. So, okay, so we have a motion from David. I'll look to you, Flipper.
I'll second.
All right. If there's no other discussion, we have a motion, we have a second. Y'all catch all that over there? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone against?
Nay, sorry.
That's fine. Anyone abstaining? You're abstaining. So we have, y'all catch all that, and Josh abstaining.
Yeah, Debbie, nay?
Debbie's a nay, Josh is abstaining because he has children.
Yeah.
So, okay. Motion passes. Okay. All right, so we have, let's go ahead and take care of items 7 and 8. Do y'all want to take a real quick break? We've been
Yes,
sitting
yes.
All right, we're going to take a 10-minute break, although we know it's never 10 minutes. It's 8:04 p.m.
Yes.
I'm going to go ahead and call us back to order. It is now 8:16. All right, so we have items 7 and 8 that we need to go back and take care of. So, item 7, receive and discuss public comments on the city's intention to utilize power of eminent domain to condemn hangars 8, 8A, and 10 of the Devine Municipal Airport for public use. This is going to be the public comments section, and we're going to go ahead and open up public comments, and it's 8:16. If there's anyone who wants to comment, you can comment now. All right. Hearing and seeing no comments from the audience, I'm going to go ahead and close. Oh, did I need to read all this? Tom, was I supposed to have read all that?
No, that's just to give him how to open and close.
No.
Yeah.
No.
No.
You're good.
All right. I was going to say it was pretty much identical to what we had written down. So on the other. All right. I'm going to head. Hearing no comments, I'm going to go ahead and close this public meeting section. It's 8:17. Is there any comments from council?
Who owns this that we're taking from?
Let's see, it's a corporation, Aviation Fuels Inc.
Any idea why they didn't come to speak on their property?
I know that they're in contact with the condemnation lawyers already.
Oh, so they're just looking to get rid of it.
No, they're not looking to get rid of it. If the lawyers who are representing us, Josh, have already sent a letter to them telling them that this is what we want to do, this is what the city wants to do. And he's hired a lawyer. The corporation has hired a lawyer. So this is all, what we're going through tonight is what the law requires us to go through. So it's not like he's not uninformed.
Have we received a response from the owner yet?
He has hired a lawyer, and the lawyer is talking with the law firm that the city has hired, yes. And so what we're doing right now, Josh, is we're in negotiations. And the way that it was explained to me by the lead attorney, Ramon Molina, he said, we're doing both. We're going to go ahead with the procedure, but what we have to do, what the law requires us to do, like tonight, we're talking about it, and we're doing the legal steps. We're taking the legal steps that we have to take. Now, they're also, at the same time, they're talking to the property owner. and see if they can come to some negotiated price. And again, this is all based upon appraised values. And what they're doing right now, what they've asked us to do is to come up with a more current appraisal. In the past, we've been kept from these hangars. The appraiser has not even been able to go into the hangars, but that's changing now.
Is that a problem taking someone's private property?
Right, well, the hangars themselves, it's a ground lease now, and the city owns the actual ground out there. We lease the ground to these people, and the predecessor and title actually built the hangars, and then the hangars were sold to the company that owns the house.
When does the lease expire?
Well, the lease, they're all 10-year leases, Josh.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there would be a condemnation of the lease also. But they pay like, maybe, how much do they pay a lease on the ground lease? $1,000 a year. A year.
I guess my concern here is we're on a contractual obligation, and now we're trying to backtrack on that obligation. So when does the lease expire so we can exit it without just saying sorry about your life?
Yeah, we can do that, but Dora's telling me, there's more to it to this, and I guess that do we want to go into 8 and we can go into discussion on that, Mayor? I mean, are we still in 7 or?
We're still in 7, but I can go ahead and if we want to just continue to pick up the discussion at 8, I can go ahead and close out 7, and we can go ahead. It's just receive and discuss. There isn't anything to make a motion on. So, all right. So I'm going to go ahead and go ahead and close out 7, and we're going to go ahead and go into 8. So let me go ahead and read item 8. This consider and act upon the adoption of an ordinance authorizing the utilization of the power of eminent domain pursuant to the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 251, to acquire the property interest for hangars 8, 8A, and 10 located at the Devine Municipal Airport, legally described as Devine Airport Building numbers 8, 8A, and 10, HM Moore Survey 7 and a 4th, Abstract 708, City of Devine, Medina County, Texas, for the public use of designating development, constructing, enlarging, extending, and improving the Devine Municipal Airport. Go ahead, Tom.
Since this concerns contemplated litigation, would the council like to go into closed session to discuss this, or do you want to keep it out in open session?
Since Josh doesn't know any of the backstory on this, we probably need to go into executive session temporarily, just so he knows the backstory and understands maybe why people didn't show up tonight and things like that. Do you have the oh my goodness,
I'm looking for it right now.
the code and section on that?
I'm looking for it.
Sorry to take all the time, I don't like to use the
No,
hammer.
that's fine, Josh.
There's good reason for it, huh?
551-171, I think. Let me find it, just. I just want to get this right, Mayor, so.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah, actually, lucky Josh. I didn't know anything about the airport until like the second meeting when we went into executive session after I got elected. Yep. And I was like, nobody told me anything about this beforehand, so.
I've heard a few rumors toward the owner side.
Mary's Texas Government Code, section 551.071. Consultation with attorney on contemplated litigation.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and do Texas Government Code 551.071 to consult with our attorney on this item. I think that's good enough. Yeah, we're good. All right, and it is it's 8:25. So. All right, it is 8:33. We are back out in open session again. No action was taken while we were in executive session. Okay. I actually have the way the motion has to be made. So whoever makes the motion is going to have to basically read it. Will you pass that down? We have to do it a very particular way. Is there any other discussions or any other questions here? We're good. Nope. Okay, so Dora, all we need to do is just read off the exactly the way it's written. All right, Debbie.
I move that the City of Devine authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire the 5.625 square foot, 45 by 125 foot of space described as Devine Airport Building numbers 8 and 8A, H.M. Moore Survey number 7 1/4, abstract 708, City of Devine, Medina County, Texas as the Devine Municipal Airport located at 339 County Road 767, Devine, Texas, Medina County 78016, also known as Hangar 8 and 8A, and the 17,090 square feet of space described as Devine Airport Building number 10, H.M. Moore Survey number 7 1/4, abstract 708, City of Devine, Medina County, Texas at the Devine Municipal Airport and located at the northwest side of said airport, also known as Hangar number 10, for the public use of designing, developing, constructing, equipping, renovating, enlarging, extending, improving, and ensuring that all space in the Devine Municipal Airport maintains compliance with all relevant TxDOT and FAA regulations.
All right, we have a motion. Second. We have a second from David. All in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Anyone abstaining? Motion passes. All right.
And that's going to be 8:22.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. That's going to be, yeah, no, it's 1022A.
Yes, 10:22.
Yeah. Oops, that's still mine. I need this still. All right. Item 22, which is consider an act upon for council to approve criteria for hiring a city administrator and to start the advertisement process. So in our packets, we actually have what we originally asked for, which was just kind of a description of what we're looking for, the fact that a city admin is going to be in charge of all departments, budget preparation, economic development, responsible for administration and all city interactions. They must have knowledge of municipal, state, and federal laws and financial management skills. They need to, of course, possess excellent communication skills. Then here's kind of it wasn't a long one. But the candidate must have 5+ years of experience as a city administrator or city manager. We asked that they had a bachelor's degree plus a form of accredited college or university in public administration, management, or business. Obviously, they need to have a valid driver's license. They must be able to be bonded. Let's see here. They would be required to sign authorization for release of information form. Must secure and maintain favorable background for an investigation from the police department. Anyhow, what do we want to add? What do we want to change on this? Or do we just want to go out as it is and see if we get any?
I'd like to remove the 5 years of city experience.
Okay.
I'd like to see if we can get someone outside the box. And in exchange for that, I'd like to add in Lean Six Sigma or process improvement experience.
Say that again?
Lean Six Sigma or other process improvement equivalent. I see a lot of value in finding someone from completely outside the box, come in, and especially if we can get someone from a more corporate environment, maybe a leaner corporate environment, but apply some different philosophies to the way we do business here. Maybe we can find some other efficiencies and processes and reduce the amount of work that our folks have to do.
So you don't want them to have any experience in running a city?
I don't think that's necessary. Dora's been doing this for decades.
Who's gonna train them?
You're already doing the job.
Yeah, but she needs to step down and be in secretary.
I agree.
Is it gonna take her, what, 2 years to get someone up?
2 years? My God, we're not hiring someone to shovel crap. We need someone with some intellectual capacity here.
It's going to still take 2 years for them to learn the system, a minimum.
That sounds crazy to me.
Not when you're
If they've never
dealing.
run a city before, it would take a minimum.
Change your government experience then.
Still
Because they're
different.
gonna have to learn the laws. And I'm only saying that, Josh, because we've had city administrators that have no experience. And when you don't know the law, that's a liability to the city. I mean, but y'all y'all can do whatever y'all want. I mean, that y'all are the council, but I'm just,
You could drop it to 3 years and add your Sigma as would be helpful.
So that's where the 5-year experience would fall in, knowing the law and the process and the procedures.
Well, they should.
Well, sure, yeah.
In all fairness, that doesn't mean, depends on how a city is necessarily ran. If the city administrator maybe really leaned heavily on a staff or staff members to do all this for them, they may still not actually know the law. They may still not actually, because they relied on somebody else to always handle that for them. I mean, I'm not necessarily against Josh's idea, but that means the fact that Dora is going to have to stay on as a go-to person for a lot longer than I think Dora was hoped that. Dora's telling me no, even though I can't see her because flippers. Don't move, Flipper, you're good right there. It would be helpful if they had their, at least some, I mean, maybe not 5 years, but at least a couple of years of government.
Let's make it 3 to 5 years experience.
As a city administrator.
Or manager.
concern here is we're saying, okay, you got experience somewhere else. Now we're gonna pay you probably less with less, you're not building your resume coming here. So essentially the only thing we're gonna get is someone who's retired or someone who maybe sat in as interim with 3 to 5 years scattered across a bunch of time. We're not getting the strongest candidates. And my thought
Maybe
is,
you
I'd rather
get an
really.
experienced candidate.
How many do you have though? I mean, last time we advertised, we weren't getting too many except folks that nobody wanted.
Well, last time actually, we probably, I would say we had maybe 8 strong candidates. Of course, 2 had litigation issues. But over the time period that we were able to, because that was during the pandemic, but we probably had 6 strong candidates, which was surprising at that. But I don't know. We could add your, as.
I get it, but we're still getting folks from inside the box. And I understand the perspective of Dora that you don't want someone who has no idea what they're walking into. So how do we find an analog to that? I just see a tremendous amount of value to opening the pool up a little bit to get more qualified people and also from outside the box, because you just see things totally differently coming in brand new. You don't understand a lot of things, but you have a lot of value to add then of, hey, I've seen similar processes, here's how we can improve it.
I think then the thought process, which was initially to go ahead and get somebody in there so we could go ahead and relieve Dora of some of her duties, then if we hire that kind of person, she's going to have to be there in her same capacity basically as she is now. That person's going to have to learn, and maybe they may have really great like management skills or something, but they're not going to actually be able to
completely fill the role.
They won't be able to completely fill the role, and you will have things like when we get to grants and we get to that we're dealing and I mean, it doesn't matter. I still called Dora last time because that was just my go-to person versus our previous city administrator. But even though it wasn't her job to necessarily take those calls, but I knew that Dora knew what she was talking about, and that's something that you need to have faith in. I guess whoever you're hiring, that they know what they're doing, or else Dora stays at their same role she is now, essentially. I mean, they can learn, but I mean, then your option is, they're going to learn here. We're going to spend time training them, and then they're going to leave us and go somewhere else.
Okay, that launches into a good point, question there. What do we do, kind of like code enforcement there? How do you incentivize that person to stay?
You have to pay them. You have to pay them.
Yes.
Yeah. That's money is key. You pay them, I hope that they don't leave you. But then again, we have the option of firing them on a dime too. That's kind of what we have in Texas. So nobody's really tied in, and nor do we want to tie into a contract. That got the city in trouble last time. So.
I would suggest we just keep it the way it is, the 5-year plan, and start advertising.
Just see if we get any.
Yeah, I mean, we've been at this for how many months?
2 minutes.
Years.
It's been years. Pre-COVID.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I wished we'd had done this in August.
That's just my point of view on
The job said I was
that.
full of crap, so.
No, they said they were using that money to get us through the budget year.
No, to start this process so we could interview by the end of September, to have someone here in October, now I'm like, no, fine, well, now we're gonna do fine.
I mean, do we want to? I mean, we could reduce this a little bit, where instead of having to be because certain cities do have more than just one top city administrator, right? Like they have people that they have been. We interviewed a guy who actually interviewed very well, who was he was head of public works.
Mm-hmm.
So, in fact, he found a job. I don't remember which city he's with now, but he did find a job. So he wasn't the right fit for us, but he did interview very, very well.
He was a city administrator, but he had a lot of years of public work.
Yeah.
That's what it was. He'd only been city administrator for, I don't think he met the 5 years, but he had been public works for decades or something like that. It was crazy long. So, but interviewed really well. We considered him.
I mean, we could put the 3 to 5 years, and what was the Sigma thing?
He had
It's just
been a
process
city administrator, but not for that city.
It's a certification. so you
Yeah, it
don't
was only like a year. It was really short.
We could
Yeah.
put that
It
as a plus.
Yeah. But he interviewed well.
You know, like as a
He interviewed
plus
very well.
type thing.
But city administrator is a plus.
No, that's a necessity.
You just got done hearing about how you had a great candidate who did not.
He had
meet that
been
threshold.
city administrator, I think,
Yeah,
for a
but I
year or
don't think he would have been
two.
a good fit for Devine.
Yeah.
He was
No.
he kind of had a brash,
He was funny.
he was funny.
He was a great
But I don't
interview,
think
but
he
I
would
don't
fit
know what it
well with
worked.
our
That's why we have an
community.
interview process.
Can we do the 3 to 5 and add his Sigma thing in there as a plus?
Of course. We can do whatever. I mean, at the,
Well, whatever this is, that certification thing. I've never heard of
Process improvement certification.
but at the moment, I think that we can just throw this back out there and see what we get. Because yes, when we tried to do this before, we were in the middle of COVID.
Yeah.
We weren't gonna. everybody was on unemployment anyways, so now they may have to have a job.
So you said process improvement certification? Okay, got it. And 3 to 5 years. Okay.
I'll make the motion. Let's do it. Let's do it. Do it.
They need to be aware that they're gonna probably end up interviewing in public.
Bless you.
That was another thing I
They
was
need to
gonna
be
bring
aware
up.
that they're probably gonna interview here in public.
I
I don't know if we wanna put that as part of the thingy or not,
We're not gonna have anybody worth one.
Let me ask you this.
you know?
We need to know.
Can I throw this by the council? We don't have to interview them during a regular council meeting.
Nope.
We could
Interview them like noon on a Monday.
Let's do it at the conference room of City Hall. It would be a special meeting. How many people show up for a special meeting?
I mean, so they want their entire interview and whatever personal information comes up streamed to the public on Facebook.
Well, we need to let them know that would be happening. But we could do it there, and that way we probably wouldn't get an audience. Okay?
Well, they need to know though that whatever they say in executive session isn't held executively anyways,
Yes.
depending on who it is and is not there.
But we could do the interviews there. It's a little more
Intimate.
cozy
Yeah.
and intimate.
Well, when we did it before, we did it in the room over here. We didn't do it here anyways.
Yeah, but
So.
is that room still available for us?
No, we'll do it somewhere else.
Yeah.
We just have to remember that some of these are still currently working for a city as a city administrator. And
That's the problem.
looking.
Well, they've got to be known that it could be streamed.
So, all right, so we actually have a motion by Debbie. Debbie, you want to second that?
I'll second that, yes.
All right, we'll go ahead and start advertising, and how many rounds do we want to do? We want to do the 130-day round, or do we want to do a 60-day round and then come back?
Let's do a 30-day and see what we
Okay.
got.
Absolutely.
All right, all right, we'll do a 30-day round, all right.
So we'll do TML and we'll do Indy.
That's been
What we used
the,
before, right? Yeah.
TML was successful on that, because they all looked through there.
It was very successful.
How about Indeed?
All right, we have a motion and we have a second with those changes. Anyhow, do we have all in favor?
Okay.
Anyone against? All right, anyone abstaining? The motion passes. All right. Quarterly investment report. Is there anything special on that we need to look at, Dora, or are we good? That's item 23.
No, on the investment quarterly,
Yeah.
no.
Nothing special? Okay.
How can we diversify our investments a little bit? We're getting really low returns on those, and inflation is through the roof. It really feels like we're losing money really, really quickly.
They're all looking at it, but they don't go up until they renew.
I didn't hear any of that.
I said some of them, the ones that have renewed, have been going up, but we won't get the new rate until they renew.
Can we diversify our investments into something that isn't a CD?
That's up to council.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's up to us. We would need to have something to look at to be able to recommend. Normally, cities to do in CDs because CDs are so safe. So, I'm sure there's other options that we can diversify into.
We need the auditors to tell us.
We would, who I would reach out to, yes, to see what options we have as far as that's concerned.
I think that's why we've always done CDs.
CDs are what cities do because it's, like I said, it's safe, it's easy. We don't have an on-staff like investment person to.
Well, there's only certain things that cities can invest in, Josh, and I can't tell you what they are right now, and maybe Mark Kleine, our financial advisor.
Oh, Mark would know.
Yeah, Mark would know. Well, one of the things that we can invest in is the Lone Star Fund, and you think rates are bad in the CDs, you should see the return on the Lone Star Fund. And that's a state of Texas fund, and it's just bad. It's hard first thing, they don't want us to lose any money.
Right.
So we put it in safe investments, CDs, you're not gonna lose any money yet, so.
Flat tire. All right, that was my concern there, is what are we allowed to invest in?
Yeah, we can get a list of that for you. I can get a list of that for you.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay. Nothing else there. We're gonna go ahead and go into 24, which is informational items. Oh, Debbie, make it quick.
Okay, so I have one grumpy and the rest is just inquiring. So I'm gonna do grumpy first.
All right.
So back in July, we all agreed to let the Chamber of Commerce have the building and do the fall festival, and we pay electric and the normal thing, except we didn't have to give them money this year so far. So we're good there, right? And what was my motion was that we would be a sponsor, on the banner, City of Devine, because we're never there. And we have already, we figured it out one time, and I think it was like $23,000 it cost the city to do Fall Festival.
Yeah.
Okay, that's PD and Public Works and all of it together. So I wanted us to be a sponsor. We give more money than anybody else.
It was part of the motion, wasn't it?
It was part of the motion,
Yeah.
yes. And Bonnie smiled and said, uh-huh. So on Facebook this week, I printed it out so that I could, continue to be aggravated. It says, thank you Cactus Festival sponsors. Medina Electric, Mark Kidd State Farm, Circle C Services, WC Sanitation, Water Energy Services, Morales Realty, Lyle State Bank, Country Gals Market, and Devine Golf Group. Well, isn't that special? I bet you've added up all of the money those people gave doesn't come up to our $23,000. But we're not even on the list. I'm not happy about that.
I don't blame you. Didn't charge them for electric either.
See, and that was yours. So, I was willing to give it to him for free. I'm a little miffed at Chamber right now that they still don't seem to think City of Devine does anything for them. That we can't even be on the list of the sponsors. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm sure we've got a Chamber or 2 member watching, and they'll all probably blow up my Facebook.
Probably. But it was part of the motion. I do remember that it was part of the motion that was on there, that we be counted as one of the sponsors on their advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, the point is they're supposed to be doing this for the City of Devine. Admittedly, we're not giving them money this year yet. That's been very clear too. It's a yet item. I feel like it's coming. I just don't know which day. But at some point, but yeah, we did ask for it because we still, even though we don't give cash, we do give police force, and Dora and Denise and others have already spent time.
Right. Our Public Works guys.
Public
are
Works
out there.
guys, yep.
So anyway, I just want you all to know, just, welcome to my world of crankiness. Again, for Fall Festival, we are all decorating the trailer on the 3rd. Let's check. On the 3rd. And we all need to, and Dora might have to send us emails so that we're not outside talking to each other.
Yep.
But who's bringing what for the decorations? Like, who's bringing pumpkins, who might be bringing flowers, who might be crepe paper, I don't know. I wasn't there last year, because y'all did it we weren't.
You were there spiritually. We thought about you.
Thank you. But, we had scheduled it, and then I was busy that night. So, we kind of need to talk about who's bringing what for the decorations, and where's the trailer gonna be, so we know where to go. It's on the 3rd. I think we said we're gonna meet at 6 or 7.
I think that's what John said.
Yeah.
Before we start.
Harrison Supply, for sure. Like, did they say yes? Because somebody was supposed to check that out. Somebody who might not be here today. Yeah, well.
It's on my calendar, is that time and that place.
It is. But someone
All
was
right.
supposed to double check on that. She's not here tonight, that's why I don't know.
Dora, can we double check on that and make sure? And then, can we put together some sort of a, I hate to say checklist, but some sort of a sign-up sheet where council can be like, I can bring
2 pumpkins or whatever, like whatever. Because we need to do it, we need to look good, guys, I'm
We
sorry.
want to win again. We want first place.
Yeah, we want
That's all it's been. This is the third freaking float I've been signed up for, voluntold.
That's your fault for getting involved with so many issues, okay?
I didn't get involved with Girl Scouts.
It's free for the kids.
No, not yet. That's your, okay, again, your choice. Okay, so if we could just follow up on that, because we only have 2 weeks. I had a constituent ask me about Halloween night. Will the
I have it right here.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Stealing our thunder.
I'm sorry.
So,
He told me to be quick and I'm trying to.
go ahead and do your stuff and we'll get back to it.
Halloween night, will PD be barricading Jack Nicholas and Malone, making it one way?
Yeah, so on the 31st, beginning at about 5:45 to about 9:30, Devine Police will be, the plan is for them to be closing off half the roadway like normal,
Okay,
forcing the traffic in one direction around Jack Nicholas. This will be from West Malone all the way, or over to Allman, so we'll make that entire loop like normal. Obviously, and they'll have other cops out patrolling the city that night as well, because I know it's not, people get in trouble that night, just what they do.
I know they
So.
usually come by my house.
Yeah, they usually patrol all the way over there, that whole area. So that's where most of the trick or treaters are, and that's where they focus. But they go everywhere though, not just there. So.
Next, street lights on Zigzag, did they get installed yet?
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
These are things I haven't been able to follow up on. And, well, we already know about street paving, never mind. Update on our mural that we discussed in August. Where are we with that?
I'm waiting on the chamber to have a meeting. I have already made it very clear to multiple chamber members that I'm supposed to be on the agenda.
Gotcha.
They had a meeting the other day, but that was only a fall festival meeting, and I believe it was an emergency meeting. And honestly, I wouldn't have been able to make it anyways because I didn't know about it till a few hours beforehand. So, but
Maybe you can get on December's because we want to have it done by April.
that would be the goal. If they're,
For new president, vice president.
I've already done that. So, no. If they are not able to make it happen, then I will explore other options with other local community groups.
I think the Market Association is doing an art something or other, and they might know some artists that can help you out.
There's a short list, but
Roger that.
it is what it is. So hopefully I'll have good news at some point before the end of the year. So you're good? That's it?
That's it.
Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, I've got 2 issues. One from 3 local business owners. They wish to remain completely anonymous. They've asked me to be extremely vague. They're concerned with proper reprisal. It's been with sort of like permitting and getting stuff from the city office. They wouldn't characterize them as threats, but very hostile communications from the city offices. They wouldn't give a name. They just said, essentially, do this thing now or we're shutting XYZ down. And there were different variations of this, but how do we improve I'm sure people call up and are rather belligerent. How do we improve that perception a little bit?
So you're saying that it's in for the permitting, for code compliance?
One, yes. Ish, I assume. I wasn't trying for too much detail there because they didn't want to share too much. It sounded like it was probably code compliance. The other 2 are more so, it sounded like there was some state level permitting thing that they had gotten wrapped up and maybe folks
It's probably the backflow, because the staff has been calling, that's what they're working on right now through TCQ, right? Those to be inspected tomorrow? And so they've been calling because that's mandated by the state where they have to turn in a report for the backflow, right?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, and so I think the ladies were calling, helping Public Works call them to get these reports in.
There's another one that was definitely purely state and not related to that.
Huh?
There was another one that was purely state related, where they received their authority to conduct certain types of business. And they got an abrupt call that essentially by close of business, get us XYZ paperwork or we're shutting you down. They called state agency, said that's not in their lane. Either way, their concern was there's a lot of hostility coming at them as the business owner, and they don't understand why, but it was definitely a concern for them. So I guess just a general request, let's try and be a little more understanding, folks.
Okay, so you're saying that the third one was they were being told they were going to be shut down?
Yes. If they didn't provide copies of some state licensing thing.
Yeah. Oh, I was just thinking, I asked Denise too. It could have been for a beer permit? Yeah. A lot of times if they expire and we have to reach out to them and then they have to reach out to them again. I don't know if this is it, but I'll find out. But I mean, for them to be shut down, it would be the police department. We have an ordinance that if they don't get their permit, I think we can charge them $10 for every day, I believe. I don't have the ordinance in front of me. And we have the right to let the police department know that they're not current in the beer permit. So that's the only thing that comes to my
Trying to keep
mind.
these super vague because these people do
Yeah.
not want to have any troubles come their way. So I just,
Well, I was about to say, I mean, if you don't know the whole story, how can you act on it? I mean, get them to tell you what they want to know and let's get to the source of it and let's get it
Or
out
actually,
of it.
they could call Dora
Yeah.
directly and say, this is what happened.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, because they did.
well, it's just a general thing there. I did ask them, please follow up, please provide more detail, but all three of those folks were, no, I don't want to start those kind of problems.
So I can't help you.
So that's why it's just kind of a general request, like, let's just ask folks, like, try and be a little more understanding. But again, I understand, I'm sure some folks are responding quite hostilely and a little bit belligerent. That's all I got for that one.
Okay.
Sorry, it's not super helpful. I'm trying to respect everyone's desires here. Second issue.
It gives me some things that I can look at.
Yeah. Second issue, not for city staff, for council in general. Had a lot of folks are really, really upset with the lack of food truck options in town. Specifically, they do not appreciate the council telling them and making decisions for them that they're not smart enough to make on their own. So now they go to establishments outside of city limits to purchase their smoked meats or their pizza or their burgers or what have you. So the only thing we've done is make folks drive farther for those same food options, reduce the amount of business in town. And one of those businesses specifically was seeking to open a restaurant in town. That's now a tenuous decision because, okay, their concern here is, are we going to get more regulation to make it even more difficult? And their perspective was, hey, the city just spent $500,000 building a restaurant for a food truck, and then we just so happen to have regulation that pushes food trucks out as soon as that's complete. Valid concern there. And at that point, I hadn't thought about ahead of time terrible optics when we pushed that policy. But I would say in the future, let's look at how we can make this food truck thing a little bit more friendly because people still want to get their food. They're just driving farther.
They shouldn't have had a problem with you. You voted against it. So
It wasn't a problem with me. It was
again,
them
like
complaining,
David
"This is
said,
stupid."
if they're not here and they're not willing to speak, then I made this choice a long time ago that I'm not going to speak on your behalf if you're not willing to show up here.
That is a frustration I have, but
That I learned to let it go.
I have a problem too with the fact that they think we built a restaurant for a food truck.
Apparently they don't
That
know.
is not what happened.
Apparently they don't know the history of 2.5, 3
We
years.
renovated the golf clubhouse so a restaurant could be put in it. It just so happened that the people that were running the golf course had a food truck there, and those people happened to be Charlie's, and just happened to be able to move into the, we did not build that restaurant for them. We need to nix that right now.
That was a specific.
I would love to see, and I'm going to say this as a general statement, but seeing everything I've seen happen through COVID and people get turned in with their beer licenses and everything else through that whole event, I would love people to stop being so jealous of others and actually go out and make a business for themselves that actually gives the people in the community what they want, instead of just complaining that somebody else is successful. So.
In y'all's updates, I just did a small update for y'all. I believe I just put in there how many permits we've received.
I saw that, that's great.
Appreciate that. I have a couple things. Chromex has already started to mobilize their stuff. They were actually putting pipe into their, I don't know, are we going to call it a yard?
Property.
Their property, I don't know what we want to call it, but yes.
Yes, their yard.
They already started putting in pipe today. So there was multiple vehicles there. They had some tractors there, of course. I don't know, is this the pipe that they have over there? Is that the pipe that they're moving? Okay. I was like, I didn't see a big 18-wheeler to suggest that, but I did see them mobilizing, putting in pipe. And so.
Did they finish today or not?
I don't know, we're working on that.
I know they've been working today.
Yeah, I mean, they have it all fenced off and stuff. It looks like it's pretty secure, which was always the concern before because it wasn't secure at the previous location with the previous company. Anybody could just walk across the property and touch it or any of it. And yeah, they started to mobilize the pipes today. I've also been talking to Dora to try to figure out, obviously, when we went through the budget stuff, we had a discussion over the wanting to do more. Obviously, we want to do more. If we want to do more roads, we want to do parks or whatever, it takes more money. And the reality is even if we were to say, put the taxes higher where we get the extra $100,000 a year, it's going to take, I don't know, something like $30 million to do our roads. So that's going to be 300 years it would take us to save that $100,000 a year to be able to pay for those roads. That's not realistic. So I've been talking, and same way with parks and stuff too. We have people who want to do parks. Parks are multiple $1 million items of what they're talking about. This isn't just, for 50, 60 grand we have a new field. We're talking fields that are $2.5 million or so, plus everything else they're asking for. I think that the best option for this is to kind of just let the people decide if they are willing to pay the taxes on what it's going to cost to do that. And the only way to do that is to actually do it through a bond type election, and go ahead and create a bond election and be like, here you go. Here's $30 million or whatever it's going to take for roads. Here's, say, $5 or $6 million for this massive park that people continually ask about, and just let people decide if they want to raise their taxes to pay for that, or if they vote it down, we continue down the path that we are and working within our means. This would give them the option to instead of just coming up and saying that they want something, this forces them to actually participate and if that's what they really want, they can convince. They can go out and vote. They can convince others to go out and vote, or vice versa. You could say, "There's no way I want to do that to my tax bill," and vote against it. We have enough time to be able to put this on the May election, but we are going to need to follow obviously a timeline. We're going to have a couple of public hearings on it before it actually goes on the actual, I guess, agenda to be voted on. Not our agenda, but to public vote, sorry. It's going to require, if we want to do this, the same way with sidewalks, we could do sidewalks the same way. We've talked about sidewalks forever. The reality is that we're never going to end up with the $1.5 million that we need to really do that. So what I need to know tonight, and it's not even really a vote, it's more of a do we agree, do we want to see this back on the agenda, is to get the bond stuff that we need. JR is going to have to come up with pricing on roads. You could do roads and drainage. We know we have drainage things that will never be, unless we can randomly get something from the state, but we haven't been able to get that either as far as grant stuff is concerned. That he can work up pricing, and then as far as anything concerning parks or that kind of thing, it would be JR and Judy who would come up with pricing. And then we could have that discussion and then make the choice if we want to go ahead and move forwards with putting that on the agenda for a vote in May.
Yes. Getting our financial advisory involved, would that help? Or not really?
Over here. What do you mean?
The gentleman that does advertise or advises for financial.
Oh, yes.
What's his name?
Mark McLean?
Yes.
Mark already knows about it.
He knows about it?
Yes.
Yeah,
He was the one.
I've
He was the one who said it's entirely possible, but we have to act. We have to get rolling if this is what we want for next May.
I think so.
This way, the people have the ability to go, yeah, we want to see because these are multi-million-dollar improvements that no matter how much we do, we won't ever be able to catch. Like I said, even if we were to save that $100,000 a year that we talked about back in, it's $300 a year. Like it's never going to be enough money. It doesn't work out that way. We need to be able to go ahead and make those decisions, make them now, and then we can, pay them as they move forwards.
And something I'd love to see on this is a couple of different options there on the ballot. There is repave the existing streets and fix drainage, install sidewalks, and then pave unpaved, it's platted streets. Because that right there would help boost up our property tax revenue, because then people can actually start building houses.
I would assume that there would probably be a couple of different options. I know that it has to read a certain way because it has to be very clear what all the money, because once we're locked into that money, that's another thing too. Once we're locked into that money, we're locked into that money. So if they say we want drainage and we want everything to be paved with curbs and a sidewalk, well then we know that's what we're locked into. No council, including us, can ever change that once that vote actually takes place.
It's all wording.
Yeah, it's all wording, and that's what Mark would be helpful on. So if that's something y'all are interested in, I will go ahead and work with Dora to get pricing, general pricing. I guess I don't know how detailed it has to be, but to some level of degree, and bring that back to y'all.
Absolutely. I'm for it.
We good with that? Okay. All right. So it looks like we'll get a hold of Mark and JR and Judy. Yeah.
I've only got one thing.
Go ahead.
Are we renting the community center yet?
Oh yeah, how are we approved money? What are we thinking as far as the renovation stuff to get the ACs replaced for here?
I think
That was in the-
Is in the updates?
I haven't read the update. I'm
Yes.
sorry.
I did not catch that in the updates.
December, where are we taking reservations for December?
For December already?
Y'all should be done right before then?
Okay.
I got a phone call, not a phone call, text just yesterday about that too, and I was like, I'll ask. We have a council meeting tomorrow. So,
I just had about the sewer going across over here on 35. What's going on with that? Or
they have not responded back. I think that project's been dropped. It's been dropped, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as we know.
darn. I was really looking forward to that happening.
Yeah.
So,
Sarah reached out to them and they're not.
not to say it still won't. It's not in their plan anymore.
Okay.
All right. If there's nothing else, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion to adjourn.
also,
Motion by Flipper, second by David. All in favor? Aye. Anyone against? Motion passes. Thank you.